Good evening, Steve. Good evening, SMT Nation. Hope everybody's having a good start to the weekend. It's been a good, long, productive week. I hope everybody can say the same. Excuse me. Very excited about today's show. Should be a good one. Ready to go.
It might be a good one if you let it be a good one, B.
It's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one.
Yo, B's going to have a little bit of creative input on this one tonight. At least that's what I hear. You know what I'm saying?
I just had a few things to say, man. I'm not, nothing big. Just a few things to make some guesstimates on. We can follow the regular protocol of the show. I don't want to step outside of protocol, but just a few things I wanted to kind of try to hypothesize about. That's all. Reading some tea leaves.
All right, I got like 7, 8 stories I want to get through. 2 or 3 we'll get through fast. I think like the 4, the 5, they'll get more in depth because it's more traditionally what we discuss here on the panel. The quick hitters, though, I want to cover just because I know there are some folks out there who are in Altice markets and Google Fiber markets. So those are going to be more like news blurbs. We won't spend too much time on them, but more like updates. So we'll front load the video with the update pieces, and then we'll backload the deep dive content for the discussion piece. We'll kind of give it a bulk of the attention tonight. All right, so let me go ahead and do the screen share, and then you guys can follow along to all the stories. I'll let you know where I get the articles from, for those that are listening in and aren't like looking at the pod. So the first story is coming out of RCR Wireless, a story on Altice. For those of you that don't know Altice, this is the company that typically I think is branded as Optimum. And they're like a regional provider. I would not call them anything outside of that. In fact, to be more specific, Eastern, right? New York, I think maybe New Jersey. They got some locations where they have the Optimum services. So this might impact some folks because New York is a big market. So Altice is saying that they have improved metrics and they're emphasizing digital customer interaction. If that sounds familiar, that's basically the move, right? That's where I think a lot of companies are looking towards as the transition towards how they do business. So starting first with the improved metrics piece. Improved metrics across all elements of broadband. This includes fiber and mobile customers. If I remember correctly, they still do run a coaxial network. They are, retrofitting with fiber. And then with respect to mobile customers, I think they're on the T-Mobile network. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks out there in the live chat, but I think that is the case. So they had their earnings conference, their earnings call. They are losing less broadband customers, according to their CEO. They're only down 31,000 Q3 compared to down 43,000 last year, same quarter. You know where I stand on this, B. If you're losing, right? So losing less, you're still losing. The company saw its best fiber customer numbers yet, adding 45,000 net new fiber to the home customers. That makes their base now 295,000. With respect to mobility, they added 24,000 compared to 5,000 a year ago. They are now at 6.3% penetration on the broadband customer base taking to the mobile service. 33% of Altice Mobile customer base subscribed to an unlimited plan, up from 20% a year ago, as they could transition customers off of the existing 12-month plan, where it was 1 free gig of mobile data, and they converted those customers into paying customers. I actually forgot about the structure that they had. They were basically giving away free service, right? And it wasn't much. It was just a gig, but like, whatever. Looking towards automation and ways to, allow customers to have self-installs, self-care to reduce costs. This is a company that's in transition. They're trying to figure out a way to be more profitable. Otherwise, I think they're going to end up going bankrupt. In markets where Altice has to compete with Fios and or Spectrum or Comcast, B, do you like their chances in the future?
Absolutely not.
Me neither. I don't think
No,
Altice has the
no, I
chops,
don't.
man. What do you think?
Um, I agree. I think they are a value, value type of company. They go after the consumer that is in the value segment. So there's nothing wrong with that. But from a reliability standpoint on the network, whether it's fiber to the prim, well, let me start there. Fiber to the prim leaves a little bit to be desired when they're competing with places, like New York City, where you're pretty much blanketed with, files. Files take share in New York City. As far as their mobile is concerned, they do have, the agreement with T-Mobile to be an MVNO and use their network. It's well documented. Well documented. You guys know where I stand as far as that's concerned. That is the third best network in America, not the second or the first. So, I mean, they're kind of at a disadvantage, there, in my opinion. But from a fiber to the prem standpoint, I don't see a pathway forward for them outside of, just kind of, camping out in the value, segment portion of the business, or of that particular of telecom. People are looking for a cost-effective option, but I mean, I don't see them being a, really formidable player outside of just being, another option for customers to be able to choose from.
I'm with you, bro. Trash company. Altice is trash. Optimum is trash. The Dolans are trash. The entire operation is trash. They don't compete. They don't compete from a value perspective. They can't give the customer enough. I've seen the upload speeds. I've seen the tiers. I've seen the cost. I've seen the performance. I've seen the lack of reliability. It's just not a good value. When people are looking for value in home internet services, it starts with reliability. You can't provide that, you can't get your foot in the door. Well, you can get your foot in the door, but you can't keep it in the door, right? It's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Customer is going to churn. They're going to leave for something else. And their mobile plans are trash. So nothing burger, in my opinion. You got their CEO talking about how things are getting better. I ain't buying what y'all is selling. All right, next story. Big week for open access networks. B, this one is interesting. This has become the craze. Don't own your fiber, just sell someone else's. Okay, so big week for open access networks. Lots of network operators are building fiber, and then they basically want others to sell it, right? Texas-based provider, Fiber First, will use Ubiquiti Open Access Network in Omaha to provide multi-gig broadband service at speeds up to 5 gig. Current markets include Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Texas. So those folks probably have AT&T Fiber as an option. Austin, Texas probably has like 4 fiber providers. Not even joking. They probably have like Google Fiber, AT&T Fiber, probably Frontier Fiber. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of options there. Ting said it's going to offer services over an open access network as well. For those of you that know Ting, owned by Dish, they'll be doing it on fiber that was built by or in Memphis by Blue Suede Networks. Ting will charge $89 for a 2 gig symmetrical service. B, what do you think of that price, bruh?
Trash.
Oh, God, man. You're such a hater. Oh, my God. But B doesn't want nobody getting nothing good, man. Seriously. Unless you're paying $500 a month, B don't want you getting nothing.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay, B, let's talk about that price, right? $89 is a crazy good value, dude. I pay $80 for a gig.
Yes.
So for $9, you'd be upgraded to double the throughput, man.
you know where I stand on this whole race to the bottom thing, man. I don't think it's sustainable at all. But hey, man, it is what it is. When you are a smaller player, you got to kind of have the bells and whistles in order to get people to look at you. It is what it is. So I get that. I acknowledge it. I'm not a fan of it because it's smoke and mirrors. It's not meant to last. It's not sustainable. It's not profitable. And if you're not profitable, how can you ever hope to be a long-term player in any industry?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you you got to make some money. It is what it is. So.
They're in some other places too, B. Ting is working with Ubiquity in Carlsbad, California, Mesa, Arizona, Colorado Springs, utilities in Colorado Springs, and Municipal Network in Westminster, Maryland. You familiar with the area?
I am. You know,
Who else is out there? What other providers?
that's the thing, man. There's not a whole lot in those areas. Well, Carlsbad, I know there's some players, but in the Maryland portion that you were talking about, it's not as many players, at least for now. But I do know that there's some expansion. Of course, expansion going on all across the country, but specifically in the East Coast, you know, there's a lot of expansion going on right now. So I don't know if it'll remain that way forever. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
All right, so this is the new thing right now, open access fiber. That's going to give people options. I'm actually a big fan of this. For the consumer's sake, I'm a big fan. But I'm a bigger fan of fiber getting to more places that don't have fiber pre-existing. All this is, you know, if you're looking at it, there's like 2-3, you know, fiber providers competing for business. So the pricing is low, which is great. We really just need fiber in more places. So hopefully that becomes more of a mainstream thing.
It is. I mean, fiber is expanding all across the country. AT&T is doing great work down in the South, doing what it is that they do best, which is building fiber. Verizon's doing what they do best. They're building fiber within their ILEC footprint. You know, Comcast, Spectrum, those guys have finally woken up and understood that they need to upgrade their legacy core networks and whatnot. So that's great. This is all good for the consumer. There are very robust networks that are being built right now at very cost-effective prices. As far as what's being sold and what people have to pay for monthly. So this is kind of the golden age of, you know, internet for America. We're finally kind of getting to a place where we're getting some really, really good traction, and people who haven't had options for high-speed internet are now getting them. And then that's without even talking about the fixed wireless access craze, which is making, you know, reliable and decent and quality home internet available to, you know, more zip codes than ever in this country's history. So definitely a very exciting time for all of us. It's a good thing.
Yeah. All right, Google Fiber. Next story. 20 gigabits per second plus Wi-Fi 7 in tow. Holy moly. All right, Google Fiber announced this week that the first project from its G Fiber Labs is a 20 gigabit per second service supported by Wi-Fi 7, available as an early access offering by the end of 23. It will be comprised of Nokia's 25G PON technology, pre-certified Wi-Fi 7 routers. Google Fiber says the platform will increase speeds by as much as a factor of 10 without requiring changes to fiber in the ground. This is impressive stuff. So basically, they're just going to flip switches and boom, 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 boom. They're golden, right? Not much for specifics, but you know, I could tell you guys right now, Wi-Fi 7 theoretical, I think, is just over a gig. So I'm not sure if that 20 gig is going to mean much over Wi-Fi, but running the router, you know, or running the modem to your router, you know, and then going hardwire really gets you to an incredible speed. Holy moly. Dude, so the one thing I want to mention about this, when I look at 25 gigs, who the hell can use 20 gigabits per second, man?
Nobody right now. There's no use case for that yet. But I will say, you know, Google is at a very advantageous position right now because they can pick their spots. They don't have an ILEC. They're not responsible for legacy core. They pick a city, they go and they build there. They can be very selective. They can nitpick, and then they can move on to the next place. So I mean, you know, good for them. They don't have nearly the expense that, you know, the big players do. So that's good. I guess that's good for them. And it doesn't seem like they're being regulated nearly as heavily either. Is Google a telco company, or are they not? They certainly have a lot of freedoms with respect to people's data that the traditional telcos do not.
You know what it looks like they're doing from the outside? It looks like they're going where people are begging for fiber.
Yes,
and
they're
they make
going
a
where
deal,
AT. Yep,
and they
they're
make
going
a
where
deal,
AT.
right?
Yep, yep, yep. And that's smart for them. They're going with AT&T, Verizon, Comcast. Those guys are not, as far as having a fiber offering, and they're gobbling up as much of the market share there as possible until those companies get there. Which is why everybody, I guess, is building as quickly and efficiently as they can. Based on what they can afford to spend and the manpower that they have, and the materials and all that. That's great. But are they a telco or aren't they? I mean, Google, they certainly are being allowed to dip their
In this
dip their
in
toe
this
in the water.
application, I'd say yes. In this application, I'd say yes.
If that's the case, then why do they have such high levels of I don't know. They don't seem to get regulated the same with respect to people's data that the telcos do. Are they a telco or aren't they? That's kind of when I think about Google and this whole project that they're doing. I think it's great for the consumer from the standpoint of having access to high-speed internet. That's outstanding. That's great. That's what we've all been asking for decades. That's good. But hey, man, I mean, they're not being regulated the same as an AT&T or a Verizon or you know a Comcast or those types of companies. Why not? I mean, they got
Well, for now,
fiber to the prim.
I mean, you're basically getting, they're coming in as the white knight. That's what it feels like. So, some of these municipalities that don't have options are probably like, yeah, please come here. And Google's probably like, what are the regulations going to be like? What's the permitting going to be like? And they're basically going to remove all obstacles, make life easy on them, and they'll be able to build easily without any type of obstructions or obstacles.
Understood. I respect that 100%. But where's the FCC? Are we classifying
Um,
Google? Are they a telco or are they a software company only? I mean, what do they do?
it's
Because I
all
tell
of
you,
it. They're all of it.
I mean,
They're everything. They're an advertising company. They're all those things.
but is it AT&T? Is it Verizon? They have advertising legs. I mean, the whole purpose of AT&T and Verizon purchasing media was so that they would have the ability to be able to become bigger players in advertising. Well, they weren't able to be as profitable or be as competitive with the Googles and the Facebooks because they were regulated differently than Google and Facebook, who have much more liberty to our data as consumers versus the telcos, which are much more heavily regulated. So now that Google is in the FTTP game, they're in that industry, they're operating as a telco. Why? Where's the FCC? Is my question. Where are they on this? I mean, are they going to regulate those guys the same? Because if that's the case, then we have a tremendous change to Google's business model because they've been allowed to pretty much use data as they see fit in exchange for free products, free Gmail, and all these things. In exchange for that, they can have whatever data it is that they select.
And actually, you brought up the FCC. I want to pivot to that story. All right, so this is the next one. So it builds off of that conversation. FCC gets set to increase broadband speed definition to 100 by 20. Okay, so let's go through the story and then we'll see if we agree with that definition and what it means like moving forward into the future. All right, so the FCC is launching a notice of inquiry focusing on universal deployment, affordability, adoption, availability, and equitable access to broadband. They want to determine what should be the new definition for broadband. Guys, previous definition, I think, was 25 downlink, 3 uplink. I think that definition dates back like 20 years. So transitioning from 25 down to 100 down, that would be, a 4x multiplier. And then going from 3 up to 20 up puts you at like a 6.5 multiplier. I want to say this about that speed. The 100 by 20 is a perfectly good definition for broadband. My only gripe is if this is the new standard and this is the new bar, like that's nothing. We just got done talking about 20 gig fiber. And we're talking about upgrading our broadband definition to 100 megabits. When absolutely the 3, even 4 carriers, Dish included, can give you 100 by 20 broadband performance on a mobile network, a majority of the time you'd be on the network. Like, no exaggeration. I live in a market where Verizon has a tower site every mile, littered with small cells everywhere. I'm shocked if I can't get 150 megabits per second or 20 uplink. Typically, after the 140 megahertz release for Verizon, I'm seeing 6, 7, 800, 900 megabits down on my mobile device. And I'm seeing 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 up on my mobile device. So this is low-hanging fruit. This is not hard to do for a mobile network. So fixed broadband at a standard of 100 by 20, that seems weak. The FCC, I think, should be shooting a little higher. I postulated, and this was a conversation I had with Dennis, we probably want to shoot up a little bit higher. We probably want 200 to 300 megabits, and uplinks probably closer to 40 or 50. Just for the sake of future-proofing, because it seems to me like this thing only gets updated every 20 years. We should probably shoot a little bit higher. All right, what do you think, Zero Cool? You're just coming in. What do you say, man?
Yeah, so kind of back to the previous article a bit. I'm glad that Google is offering the the 20 gig down. Google is like the welfare company of 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 the internet. Everybody depends on them. Everybody uses them. They're like everybody's welfare check, right? So for this, I do agree. I mean, this is a great start. I'm glad they're taking a look at this. I'm glad it's being changed now. To me, when standalone is true for everybody, this includes like both on wireline and wireless networks. That I think it should be synchronous, meaning you should have 100 down and 100 up. There's no reason why, and when 6, 7G, whatever comes out and standalone, and there's no reason why we can't hit those metrics. I do agree it should have been, reached a little bit higher, but here's the thing, people, the ISPs and the companies that can meet that standard now, okay, they get most of the funding. They get most of the universal service funding, all right, because they're classified as that main ISP that, where they can meet the FCC minimum broadband speed standard. But it'd be nice in the future. Like I said, once standalone and once the wireline and wireless networks are synchronous with downlink and uplink, that they should make that the same number, like maybe I don't know, like 500 by 500 or something to that effect.
Now, with a wireline network, I agree. But with a fixed wireless network, that's going to be a tougher thing to achieve. Oh, yeah. So, B, let me get you in here. What's your take on the speed? What do you think about the future proofness of this?
I'm personally fine. I mean, 100 down, 25 up. I'm fine with it. 25 over 3. It was way past time for them, for the FCC to go ahead and move to get that upgraded. So I'm glad that they did. I keep thinking about the rural customer and how much time it takes to get to the rural customer, to get fiber to those particular cell sites, and then of course, to roll out new technologies and things of that nature. I don't think that for example, the C-band rollout is probably not going to be done until 2024, maybe even 2025, depending on what part of the country we're in, and then of course fiber to the prim. For as much progress is being made in a very short period of time, we're only talking about 2 or 3 years. There's a lot that's been covered, but there are still significant swaths of the country that still don't have access to either fiber or C-band. So 100 down,
C-band is only as good as the fiber that's run to the sites.
Agreed. And there are some areas of the country that it's just hard to get fiber to. There are still cell sites that are operated by microwave. So I mean, I think 100 over 25 is reasonable. I think, like you said, to your point, Sneed, we're talking about a 4-time improvement on downlink, almost 7 times improvement on the uplink. That's substantial. I think for most customers, for what people want to do nowadays, 100 down and 25 up would be sufficient. And it's actually that sort of speed. It's actually better than many customers, many people in the country have ever experienced before from an internet service provider in their home. So I think that's good enough for now. I think it's a reasonable expectation for all the telcos to meet, because we still got some regional providers and stuff out there and whatnot. We have to keep them in mind as well. I mean, the FCC's responsibility is to manage all of them, not just the ones that are providing fiber to the prim at scale right now. So I think 100 over 25 is reasonable. It makes sense. It's something that is attainable for the overall telco industry, and I think it shows some pretty good progress. I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
All right, so this comment from Trex, he said they're also talking about setting new standards past this standard. For example, by 2030, bump it up to 200 by 50, if I remember correctly. So that would be good. I like the idea that you stay light on your feet and able to pivot. Things change over time. Like I can foresee, a day coming in 2025 where we're laughing at 20 uplink. I could see in 2027 we're laughing at 100 downlink. Where 300 is 300 is viewed as a standard. 300 is viewed as enough. Yeah, 100 is enough. It would probably power a couple of 1080p streams, maybe a couple of 4K streams, and a couple other devices. But like, a lot of people I know are using 4K camera surveillance systems. You ain't doing that with 20 uplink. You're going to need 50 uplink because your system alone is going to take a majority of that bandwidth. So anybody else doing anything else intensive to the uplink is going to come up short.
I hear you, Sneed, and I think that makes sense. And I think, to your point, everything you're saying is exactly right, and I agree. But we all live, well, I'll say you and I, we live in major cities. So sometimes we get a little bit spoiled with the fact that we live in major cities. So there's fiber providers, there's small cells, all these things. There are still large portions of the country who do not yet have that experience, and they may not get that experience in 2027. I don't think we're going to get fiber to the prim in every zip code in America for at least the next 10 years. It takes a long time. And remember, there's been significant progress over the last 3 years. I mean, AT&T is building in droves, Verizon's building, Comcast, Spectrum. These guys are doing what they can, but America's really, really big. I mean, there's 3,000 counties. I mean, you got 3,000 ways of doing business and all these permits. I mean, it takes a long time to build. They need the manpower. And we're talking about an industry that's got a kind of an aging workforce and everything like that you have to kind of deal with. You have to train new people. You have to attract newer talent, younger talent, all that kind of thing. There are some roadblocks and some obstacles that have to be overcome. But I mean, even if you have all those things, there are some terrains in this country that make fiber to the prim extremely difficult, especially when consider the fact that for the most part have to charge the same price from sea to shining sea. You can't have it in a situation where we're able to charge a little bit more here because it was more expensive to build. No, America don't do that. So we have to keep all that in mind and just make sure that we understand, what's actually feasible and the time frames. I'm not sure we'll get there, by 2027. We may be in the 2030s, 2040s before, fiber to the prim is available just about everywhere, if at all. I'm not sure if it ever will be. But I know the cell sites, of course, are already well on that path, but I'm not sure if fiber to the prim is going to be a thing everywhere, which is why I think the FCC chose to be, a little bit conservative with respect to 100 down and 25 up.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And the other thing is other reason why it's kind of set a little bit low is that this is also for startup ISPs, for people that are just getting into the game and just getting off the ground, right? So that's that reason too, which is understandable. So
that's exactly right. That's what I was trying to allude to before. You can't necessarily implement policy. You can't set policy based off of the top 1% of earners, right? So the same kind of concept applies here. You can't necessarily, implement policy based off of the AT&Ts and Verizons who have, the biggest credit cards, the biggest wallets in the industry. There are some smaller telcos out there, some regional providers that, are just barely trying to hang on as is. And to ask them to go to 200 down as a minimum, or all that kind of thing as a minimum, you're pretty much saying we want to put you out of business today. And I don't think that's what the FCC's mandate is. They want to try to be fair to all of the various companies that are out there and give them all an opportunity to be successful.
Well, you'll be thrilled to know that there are startups who are building CBRS fixed wireless networks that are delivering better than 100 by 25.
I don't deny that. I don't deny that at all. I'm sure they are.
That out there. I think it's more about relationships. I think the open access networks is going to facilitate some of this. And I think, it's time shared networking became a thing. I think these companies need to eat a slice of humble pie, right? And if you want to get federal dollars, they got to start playing nicely. The only thing is we lack leadership that will facilitate that. So we are going to need new faces and new people in the right places to make these types of decisions.
I don't agree with that just because, I understand. I understand.
We just got done talking about how we need to help folks in rural, and you don't agree with it, B?
No, I don't. Just because companies don't share profits, they don't share revenue. So why do they have to share infrastructure? I mean, at the end of the day, yes, the consumer is important. Yes, businesses are important. You want to get connectivity.
They don't have to get federal funding. They don't have to get the fund bucks from the government. You can build it yourself then.
Well, I mean, federal funding is there to be able to allow companies to be able to, build out and do it in a way that's actually reasonable and appropriate. But I don't see how a company that's paying tax dollars shouldn't have access to federal funding. That doesn't make sense. So if
I'm trying to accomplish something that's supposed to close the digital divide and secure a utility to all places across the country, I can't create obstacles. I have to be creative. See that we need outside the box thinking if we're really going to tackle this issue before 2090. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, but the issue is being addressed, and it's being addressed very quickly. I mean, we made more progress in the last 3 years than we have in the
and I agree with you. You literally just said it might not be before the 2040s. Unacceptable, man.
Yeah, but that's definitely closer than 2090. That's a whole 50-year difference. So I mean, I'm not. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and I respect where you're coming from. It makes sense. But again, if a company invests capital dollars to build out a network, I'm not sure that they should be forced to share that infrastructure with another company. At least not free. Nah, I'm good. I personally don't agree, especially when federal funding, we got these companies, I mean, they're paying tax dollars too. So it's not like federal funding isn't part of the money that these companies are paying in as well.
What does taxes have to do with this?
Well, I mean, you're talking about essentially like weaponizing federal funding as if these companies aren't paying taxes. Like part of that federal
funding, there are people that weaponize. Everything gets weaponized. Everything is a negotiating chip. Everything is a bargaining chip. If I'm going to get something to happen, I have to make deals.
I agree, but something's happening as we speak. Again, we've made more progress in the last 3 years than we have in the last 30. And it's because the government, partially, has been kicking the can down the road on access. They haven't been, prioritizing closing the digital divide until all of a sudden the pandemic came. And now all of a sudden the government cares about people being connected. I mean, Sneed, I hear what you're saying, and I think that your heart is definitely in the right place, and you're right about a lot of stuff that you're saying. But I'm just not sure that strong arming, these companies is the right thing to do. At least not with respect to sharing.
Strong arming though. It's not strong arming. Look, if it's a greenfield build where nothing is, it's going to take creative solutions. It's not going to happen organically unless the city can own and operate its own networking. which a
Which
lot
they
of people
can.
here on my panel has told me to go to hell about. They said the shit doesn't work.
Well, I mean, oftentimes it doesn't. I mean, it is a less quality network when it's owned by the government. I'm not sure I want the government, you know, building out anything like that either. I mean, they can't even take care of the veterans the right way. So I'm not sure that I'm fired up about that either. But I do understand the point. At the end of the day, we got to get broadband out there as quickly as we can, and I think there's been solid progress on that effort the last few years. I think I really do think we're on the right track.
All right, let's switch it. Let's pivot here. SBA Communications says 50% of 5G spectrum deployed on U.S. towers. Okay, so these were some of the disclosures from SBA, which is what, top 3 in terms of size and scale for 5G, macro tower owners. I think it's American Tower, then Crown Castle, then SBA. Is that right, B?
That sounds right. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the CEO was talking. They're curious about the industry. And he said, with respect to the 5G upgrade cycle, he said the basics haven't really changed that much. We haven't seen any technology that will make the basic tower business model obsolete. We watch satellites, things like that. We watch small cells. The macro site continues to be the backbone of wireless communications. It's true, right? The macro gives you the most standard way to apply radios, antennas, run fiber, and monetize with multiple carriers on each rack. You can get Dish, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. You can even get, local fixed wireless access providers on some of these sites. With respect to deployment on SBA towers, Kavanaugh said roughly 50% of 5G related spectrum owned by its customers has been deployed on their towers. He did mention that there is more work to do. Carriers are deploying dual band 3.45 and C-band equipment. When that's ready to go, they'll be going up and renewing leases and putting more gear onto tower sites. They got a master lease agreement signed with AT&T in July. So they've got all types of different partnerships that will continue to be fostered over the years. Verizon works with SBA, so does AT&T, so does T-Mobile. They're a big operator. There's still a lot of towers that have to get upgraded if you're at 50%. Right?
Absolutely.
So,
a lot of work.
So there's work to be done. Yeah.
A lot of work out there left to be done. I know that's something that I've said before in reference to AT&T as well, but I was speaking more about Verizon, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. That's why I believe churn reduces for Verizon and also for AT&T. I think we'll start to see churn in the .6s over the next 2 years as C-band starts to get rolled out. I think you'll see customers happy enough with their service and with their their experience. I think you'll see churn significantly reduced for everybody. So that's a good thing.
This is absolute trash. It's trash.
Ooh, what's the standard, Zero Cool? What do you want to see this at?
Well, 80%.
Because the carriers are spending $10 billion, $18 billion,
That's my
$22 billion.
Exactly.
Like, how is it at 50%, right?
Yeah, exactly. This needs to be at 80%. What's going on here? Like, the CapEx needs to be up by certain carriers. Cough, cough, T-Mobile. But no, this needs to be at 80%. There's no reason why, because we have had 5G for how many years now? 3 years, 3 years, right? Yeah, about 3 or 4 years.
So like when they first started hanging the 5G enabled radios, I think it was what? T-Mobile with the low band and Sprint with the mid band and Verizon with the millimeter wave.
That's 29. Okay, so that's 2019 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, every generation of technology changes every 10 years. We are behind. For God's sake, what is
part of this is on the FCC, and I'll be honest with you, Zero Cool.
It is.
If the spectrum was available sooner, I think the carriers would have did more.
I was about to say most of it. But this is the same government that just said needs to be responsible for helping to build out fiber. I disagree emphatically. That's part of the reason why.
Hold on a second. Let's go back to Ajit Pai and his administration. Right, they did kind of free up the ability of permitting to actually become streamlined. right? So
Yes, they did.
while it's not
Yes, they did.
it's not perfect, but that helps. And I think since then we have seen some progress in respect to upgrading.
We have, yeah, it
Absolutely.
makes the mods a lot faster, right? So you don't longer have to wait for the city permit necessarily to do like a big mod. You can just push it through right away and push multiple ones. We're talking about like 300,
Well, I mean,
200 to 300 a month, So
in theory, you guys are right. But what happened when that stuff got implemented? When those policies were implemented by the FCC, then you had the states who pushed back and said, "No, we're not going to follow that. That's not right." So there was a bunch of infighting, and the deployment of C-band got politicized. You had Democrats fighting with Republicans. Well, Democrats don't want this to happen in their state, so they're going to fight the Republican-led, FCC. We all know who appointed, Chairman Pai, all that kind of thing. I mean, that's what happened. You guys can go back and fact check me if you want to, but that's really what happened. You had situations where the FCC finally did a good thing and streamlined the permitting process, and what happened? You had a lot of states who said, "Well, no, we're not going to do that," and so there was infighting between the Fed and those respective states. So I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around, but I blame a lot of it on our government at the federal and the state level, and then also even to a certain extent to the local levels as well. There was a lot of infighting. So the very people who are saying, "Oh, we need to, do something about the broadband and the digital divide," well, they help create the problem. A lot of these telcos, to Sneed's point, would have deployed a lot faster had they not been kind of obstructed by their own governments. That's what happened.
I'm blaming it more 75% on the carriers, 25% on the FCC. The reason why I'm blaming it mostly on the carriers is due to CapEx spending and the broken promises. Look what T-Mobile's doing. Oh, we're gonna, look at all those agreements they made with the states. Come on, man. Like, seriously, that's gone out the window. They haven't committed to crap. Like, it's literally horrible. They haven't committed to jobs. They haven't committed to CapEx. They haven't committed to the supposed, 300 meg down in California. Like, what? Like, seriously, this is 75%. This is 70%, of the carrier's fault. In this next article, the Internet Air, this should be, yes, I see 13 more markets. AT&T, not good enough.
Woohoo! Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Zero cool. Okay, so AT&T extends the reach of Internet Air. That's AT&T's fixed wireless service, adding 13 more markets, throwing in Houston, St. Louis. Right, brings the total to 33. All right, so Internet Air is their fixed wireless access. It's home broadband over cellular, just like Verizon, just like T-Mobile. They soft launched it in April. They broad launched it, I guess, commercially in August. So you now have Albany, Rochester, New York, Bakersfield, Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, Charleston, West Virginia, Columbus, Youngstown, Houston, Texas, Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, Miami, Florida, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Newport, Virginia. Expansions to the Cleveland-Akron area, Cincinnati included, Denver, Orlando, Gainesville, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Providence, New Bedford, Los Angeles, Philly, Harrisburg, Lancaster, Lebanon, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Phoenix, Chicago, Detroit, Flint, Saginaw, Hartford, New Haven, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Portland, Salt Lake City, Seattle, Tacoma. That's a lot of places. These are places, I can tell you guys right now, T-Mobile is likely going to have a new competitor. These are places Verizon will have a new competitor. And these are also places where AT&T has the capacity. They have upgraded networks in those places. So they feel comfortable deploying this as an opportunity to catch the DSL customer before they go to Verizon and T-Mobile. B, jump in.
I thought fixed wireless access wasn't a viable player long term. Why is AT&T launching this now?
They have an upgraded network now.
Oh, okay. So it is a viable product.
It is.
Is that what we're saying? Okay. So AT&T eating a little crow? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So AT&T is a little bit behind the eight ball? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's good to see, good to see that get acknowledged because there are a few people who said otherwise. Here on this channel. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see AT&T, pivoting and doing the right thing, by the country and by their customers and by their business. This is going to be good for their company. It's like you said, it's going to, bring in another player that's going to allow them to be able to compete, which is of course good for the, consumer overall. I don't see anything wrong with this. I mean, they're going to be pushed from a spectrum standpoint. I mean, I'm sure if I were them, I'd be beating the streets to try to get, more spectrum auctioned off as well because they're at a significant disadvantage. I would be scared to launch fixed wireless as well, which is really what it was about. They didn't have a spectrum. I would have been scared to launch it as well, and I would still be scared with the 120. What they got, 120 megs? Yeah, I'd be scared too. Yeah. That's not a lot at all.
Well, I mean, Verizon has 140 here.
That's true. You're right. 40 megs is a lot of. That's a lot of capacity. So I mean,
it does make a difference. Absolutely.
Yeah, AT&T has the least amount. That's crazy. That's unfortunate.
Is real cool. Jump in.
Hashtag dental. That's all I gotta say. So the reason why I say this is because all those markets you just mentioned, they all have one thing in common. This is why AT&T is able to launch the Internet Air in those markets. They have the fiber presence there. Okay.
Yeah, but they also have DSL there, dude.
Right.
They build new fiber, but they don't replace the DSL with fiber. They're gonna do this first.
Well, exactly, but it's more of the fiber-based presence. So the reason why I say that is because T-Mobile, unless they're going to take the T-Mobile approach and give everyone the FWA, kind of like how T-Mobile did, nationally with their T-Mobile Lite or whatever the heck it's called, they'll never win. Okay, they need to be expanding in rural areas, okay, country type areas, like out in the boondocks, whatever. This is not good enough. I know it's fine, all right, but they're gonna be behind. Okay, T-Mobile is gonna wipe them off the floor. So is Verizon. If this is what their strategy is, no, I'm sorry, it's not good enough. It's not fast enough. I'm being really critical on them, but it's just that's the way I see it. This should be if their main focus is like fiber and stuff like that, they need to get the Internet Air out in more places.
Oh damn, we got breaking news from Austin's Tech. Been milking T-Mobile credits all day. Second outage in 36 hours. Oh damn.
Ooh, nice.
And Big Sept coming in, he said somebody is throwing shade tonight. That would be B. That's what he'd do. Got to get his jabs in, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Vinsanity?
Just stay in the obvious, man. Stay in the obvious. Fixed wireless access been around for a long time.
Hey, what's up?
People been saying it's crazy.
All right, let's get Vince in here. Vince, you wanted to speak on this, bruh?
Yeah, so we don't have fiber available at my house, obviously, with AT&T.
Who's available?
Well, it's Cox and Breezeline, obviously, but yeah. So we got in contact because we kind of wanted to know when an estimate is, because they keep on coming with door knockers about every year to our house saying that fiber's coming, but it never comes. So we went to City Hall. They got us an AT&T contact, and he pretty much contacted us saying that there's still no plans, even though that we're on the same, grid as 2 streets north that does have fiber. But they said AT&T Internet Air is guaranteed to give me a gigabit upload and download, so pretty much symmetrical. I don't know what world he's living in, but
who said this?
It was a Northeast Ohio AT&T contact.
Man, these guys, they drinking on the job now at AT&T?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure at this point, but I mean, so we ordered the Internet Air and it's coming Monday, so I'll let you know if we get that gigabit symmetrical. So
hey, listen, Vince, be satisfied if you can get consistently 150 down, 10 up.
Yeah, I was about to
You know,
say that.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
if you could get that, life is good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna see it, because I know we're not gonna get those speeds, but I'm obviously gonna reach back to him. He said he's gonna reach back to us about the fiber expansion to see if we're in 2024 plans. But I guess when he contacts us about that, I'll see what he has to say about the speeds. But I'll do some test with it next to towers and stuff, and I'll let you know how that is.
Cool. Excellent. All right, let's pivot. Let's go to this next story. T-Mobile's open access fiber strategy gets clear. You guys know Randall Stevenson's son. He writes these articles, and I'll be honest with you, man. Like when I read this article and I look at the title, to me it actually doesn't make sense. To me, the open access fiber strategy for T-Mobile is not clear. What's clear to me is that they don't want to own fiber. They want to lease, sell access on other fiber. So I'm not really sure what the hell he means by gets clear. The only thing that's clear to me is they don't want to build it. They don't want to manage it. They just want to sell it. So T-Mobile added a handful of new markets with partnerships with Tillman Fiber Company and Sci-Fi Networks. Really what T-Mobile is doing is building partnerships in the attempt to be able to become a home ISP over open access wholesale fiber networking. Pueblo, Pilot Fiber in Manhattan. Now you got a handful of these new markets. Guys, I want to be very clear about this, and I discussed this in my last video. You've got pockets of fiber access across a handful of markets in this country. I don't want to say this is a nothing burger because I don't want anybody to be offended. You know how people get about their favorite carriers. But like, I could do this. Like, I could arrange to get access to an open fiber network. There's nothing impressive about this outside of the fact that T-Mobile can basically put their brand and sell this like instantly just because, oh, it's T-Mobile. It's the disruptive uncarrier. Like, oh, they're going to be fairly priced. They're going to be, nice to us and treat us better because our last ISP was trash. Like, that's what they're selling. They're selling their legacy perception. They're selling their previously, consumer-friendly brand. But anybody who's been paying attention to T-Mobile lately is probably thinking otherwise. They're probably thinking, man, T-Mobile's been really different the last few years. But I think that their reputation is pretty sturdy for now. Like, they can still do no wrong. Like carrier freedom. They said trade in your 3-year locked AT&T phone for a 2-year locked T-Mobile phone. What the hell did you accomplish? You traded a locked phone for a locked phone. And they spun that off as something good. But like, it goes to show you that the public eats up their marketing, dude. There are people out there literally sucking the sack, bro. It's crazy. They can literally do no wrong. Like, Eugene goes up there and he's smirking and he's sweating up a storm, bro. And people are eating it up, bro. They're buying the wolf tickets, man. Seriously. Shit's crazy. Well, now, the reason why I say pump the brakes, T-Mobile keeps telling us capital light. You can't do fiber capital light. That's not a thing. That does not exist. That's like saying, you want to build a stadium with $20. It can't be done. So I just want people to be realistic. I want them to understand that this is nice that they're accessing open access networks, but they're not a fiber provider, nor is there any signal otherwise that they will go beyond this approach or this business model. All right, let me get you in here, Zero Cool.
Man, this is like lipstick on a pig, but with a thong on it. That's what this is. This is exactly
What's a
what
thong
this
on
is.
a pig? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. This is exactly what this is. This is This is horrible. As soon as they first announced this, what they're doing in New York, I'm thinking to myself, oh, geez, they're just gonna expand this to multiple cities, multiple states, and that's what they're doing. This is This is, I mean,
You agree they're just selling their brand?
yes, it's just like,
I
oh,
mean, come on, Zero Cool. I literally predicted this like in a video like 6 months ago. I'm like, every quarter they're gonna announce 2 or 3 new markets.
Yep. It's
And
like,
those markets are
oh.
gonna have like 7 blocks of reach.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's the new clothes. Come to try it on. It's
I
got
mean,
the
they're
word.
gonna have to make hundreds of partnerships to make this meaningful across the country.
They will, but that's the problem. They're their own worst enemy. That's not going to happen. There's no like. What do you like? That's like, oh, okay. This is worse. Okay, this is worse than a Verizon Xfinity wireless partnership. This is because if you think about it, this is just like how are fiber companies even like? I mean, there must be smoking up some kind of a good deal because
Zero Cool, let's look at this comment. You tell me if you agree. Possible that Eugene is playing it kind of on the sidelines, waiting for the fiber builders to go under, and then he kind of comes in and scoops them up like Haagen-Dazs. Now remember, they're new to free cash flow. They got dividends to pay now. They got a stock buyback that they want to do, a share buyback program. So I think all those things are in play here. But good comment, MS. Definitely something to think about. And big shout out to
possible.
Casually Unfiltered Forever. Thank you for the super chat, sir.
Yeah, that's possible. But here's the thing: it's just like, oh, okay, you're going to be in business with T-Mobile. They must have one heck of a deal to say.
By the way, Zero Cool, buying fiber providers is not capital light.
No, it's not. It's not. But maybe small ones could be. But here's the thing: like, if you're gonna, they must have one heck of a deal going because it's like, oh, if they're gonna, for example, let's say if they sell this to like 20 customers with the T-Mobile branding, the fiber provider has to get a kickback, some type of monetary kickback, right? That's the only deal that they can probably make because who the heck wants to partner up with some kind of competitor? Use your crap like to get service. Like this is like making this is literally like making a deal with like a drug dealer. That's what this is. Like it is so horrible. Like I cringe every time like I hear the words T-Mobile and fiber together. Lipstick on a pig, bro.
It's definitely not typical. Let me get B in here on this one.
So I agree with everything you guys are saying. T-Mobile has told us who they are for a long time. They're pretty much saying capital light. What they're saying is, look, we can't afford to be in the fiber game, so we're going to do this in order to market ourselves. Is dipping our toe into the fiber, into the fiber industry, so that we can kind of appease those portions of the market, those investors who say, hey, you need to get into fiber. This is their way of being able to say, hey, we are getting into fiber, we are learning, and all that other kind of jazz. Like you said, this will be one city here has 7 blocks, the other one has 4 blocks. It's going to be a very light type of situation, and it's borderline disrespectful to the people who really are in fiber. So I mean, I don't expect anything less from T-Mobile. This is what they do. This is what they've always done. This is who they are, and then they're going to try to spin it for as long as they can, for as long as the American consumer will eat it up. So who's at fault? T-Mobile or the American consumer collectively?
All right, let me get Vince in here. Vince, does this interest you? Do you like what T-Mobile is doing? Do you think it's going to be something meaningful? Would you buy T-Mobile's fiber access?
I mean, if you're really asking that question, if I'd get T-Mobile fiber, considering I don't have any fiber now, yes. If there was other fiber providers, no.
Got you. All right, what do you think of the business model, though? Do you think that's something that could be good for them, or do you think it's always going to keep them kind of small time?
I mean, I really wouldn't know because, I don't know, the fiber industry is so weird. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes I look at T-Mobile and this fiber thing, and I just don't take them seriously. When they say capital light to me, man, that makes me just shut down because I know what it takes to build fiber. There's no such thing as fiber and capital light. We literally watch companies go under trying to build fiber. We see fiber projects get cut off at the legs mid-project because of complications and funding. So like it just can't be done. They're and I think B might be right about something here. They're trying to pander to a certain type of investor who's calling for an expansion of services, an expansion of revenues, a new business segment. I'll be honest with you, man. It would be huge for them to get access to their own fiber for tower sites, fiber to the prem to sell to residential and business customers.
They know that. They know that.
Expand the branding to to more places, but they don't have technicians, they don't have engineers, they don't have project managers for do I need to go on B when discussing what it takes to do this?
Well, I mean, starting from even before you get that far, you need the funding. They don't have the money. It's a very capex sensitive thing. It's a very capex sensitive initiative. When you want to build fiber to the prem, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's grunt work type of situations that don't get a lot of applause and praise.
Dude, what do you think the margin is on a customer? Like, what are they making? What's the ARPU on a T-Fiber customer?
Your guess is as good as mine, Sneed. I'm not sure what their price plans are going to be. I'm sure they'll be competitively priced. But, I mean, honestly, Sneed, to really do this the right way, they just don't have the money. And so this is, like you said, it's pandering to appease what I was saying before, to appease a certain investor, a certain customer type, a certain portion of the market who thinks they need to do this, which is correct, they do. But, this is pretty much them saying, hey, we need more time to get the funding together to do this full bore. Because right now, they do not have the funding. They do not have the technical expertise within their workforce. And most importantly, they do, because you can buy technical expertise. There are plenty of people who, looking for jobs, whatever the case may be. You got to have the funding to get this done. To buy the materials, to buy the technical expertise, to buy the permits, all that good stuff. They just don't have it right now.
Yeah, can you imagine with this if this T-Mobile fiber goes down in a customer's area? Can you really expect the tech that's going to come out there to have a beautiful T-Mobile shirt on? No.
Well, no, it's going to be a contractor. It's going to come out. It's going to be a contractor.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, like I said, this is lipstick on a pig. This is so bad. How are they going to market this? This is absolutely horrible, And the really crappy part is I'm already seeing commercials on TV, right? This is so horrible. Can you imagine them turning what's next? Are they gonna strike up some sort of crap MVNO deal with Google Fiber or some other big player? Is that a possibility in T-Mobile's future? Right? This is just horrible. And it's not good. Oh gosh, look at that face. I wouldn't trust him with a $2 bill. Okay, I would not trust this man with a $2 bill. This guy's a sweaty armpit.
Raging Dusty said T-Fiber will have packet loss issues like how their cellular network has.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just horrible. It makes me sick. And please, if you're looking for fiber, don't get it from this company. Get it from somebody else.
But I will tell you, man, they are the 5G GOAT,
Stop.
With not enough CapEx.
Exactly.
They are the 5G GOAT.
Stop that.
Now, I will say this to their credit. I have T-Mobile Home Internet. And the reason why I have T-Mobile Home Internet, because I get a really, really good price on it with their price lock guarantee. And I swear to God, if that goes away, if he takes away my price lock, Sievert, I'm going to come after him. I'm going to price lock him. All right? This is
the only EM Tech, what up?
It's the only good thing they got going,
Yeah.
What's going on?
Hey, man.
EM, what's happening, man?
So I heard the conversation about T-Fiber, and I want to add another layer to this layer cake, if you will. So
see what you did there.
I did some digging, and they're partnering with this company called Sci-Fi Networks,
Uh-huh.
They haven't even started building yet.
Oh, damn.
This sci-fi company that T-Mobile is allegedly going to be reselling on their
They
open
might
access
never lay a
network,
fiber cable, bro.
they haven't even broken ground.
Here we
Like
go.
the company announced their Oceanside, California build, and then a local TV station put a story up yesterday about it, about how they haven't even started building.
What is the market cap for sci-fi?
It's all private equity,
Oh.
and they're doing crappy micro trench fiber along city streets, which
Just the aerial build wherever they can put up some fiber cable?
no, they're micro trenching everything.
So this may never work.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
It's not even 6 feet into the ground.
Ooh. Oh man, micro trench. My God.
Yeah. This is so basically, micro trenching is basically putting the fiber a little bit under the ground, the length of Mark Sievert's sweater.
Like the yarn that would pull from a string?
Exactly. That's what it
One
is.
thread at a time?
Exactly.
Usually it's less than 6 inches under the ground.
That's why he's got that sweater on. Exactly.
Yeah, man.
So it's a crap build by a company that hasn't even started building yet, but apparently they're going to be selling it.
Oh my God, man.
Trash.
Is it trash or trash?
It's sweaty trash.
Look at his smile. He can't even smile correctly. What is this?
His face looks like it hurts, bro.
Yeah, he looks like the devil. It's so bad. It's so bad. T-Fiber, come on, man. Get out of here. This is.
I'll tell you what. If they run that microfiber into my neighborhood, I'll go ahead and make a cell site for them so we could fix the signal issues here. I'll run some CBRS unlicensed. I'll get some gear, bro. I got them.
Yeah.
Some people were speculating that there was going to be some sort of back end deal for these companies that they're partnering with to do dark fiber runs to cell sites for T-Mobile too, along with this. And I'm like, no, it's just not going to happen.
Who's paying for this?
Well, that's what people are saying, is that eventually there's going to be partnerships.
So who's paying for this?
Private equity, baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have no money, but they're going to do it. Okay.
That's what people keep saying. That's the rumors. And I'm like, no.
So here's what's going to happen. A company like Sci-Fi, listen, a company like Sci-Fi goes up to another company. They say, look, we can build you a fiber network in this segment. We can run it to your tower sites. And then T-Mobile says, yeah, okay, go ahead and do that for us. And then the other company says, okay, well, we're going to need 90% of the money up front so we could do it because we don't have any money.
I mean, T-Mobile's, as far as I've heard, they're not shy to shell out a ridiculous amount of money to fiber providers to get.
Yeah, and places where they can sell fixed wireless.
Not even, from what I've heard. What
do you mean not even? They sell fixed wireless on every site.
You're gonna sell fixed wireless out in the middle of the mountains?
Yeah.
They're paying Lex to build out fiber to sites that will probably never see fixed wireless traffic. Why? Who knows? The other carriers aren't willing to do it, so they're on microwave because it's way too expensive.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I had heard that T-Mobile threw $250,000 to a company to build out fiber to one site in somewhere out west. But these guys don't know how to spend their money, and they want to build fiber. It's just, company's a joke, dude.
Sure doesn't seem like T-Mobile to sit there and waste money. They're usually very careful with their bucks.
Not when they want to try and beat the other carriers to 10 gig.
That's what this is about?
I would assume so. You can't really have a ultra capacity network on crappy microwave links.
Well, truth be told, microwave does have its place and it does work. And some people have shown me some pretty nice links, man.
You can do 10 gig, but you can't
Right.
do it with the microwave gear that T-Mobile's using. They're using
It's a
some.
lot of money to do it.
Yeah, it's expensive.
All right. So B, talk to me about these revelations you've been having lately.
I just wanted to speak on free cash flow, particularly at Verizon. So you've already reported on this need. Verizon has a new CFO. Well, he's not really new, but they pretty much made Tony Skiadas. They made him the permanent CFO. So congratulations to him. He's done a fine job so far, in my opinion. But I'll say this. So of course, Verizon increased, their guidance on cash flow. I think they got it to 18 billion. I'm gonna be honest, man. If 18 billion is what they get, that was a bad quarter. I personally am predicting 21 billion. That they blow
Holy moly.
18 billion. Think about it, Sneed. They got 6 billion, a little over 6 billion in the third quarter. Fourth quarter is generally when Verizon does the bulk of its sales. So I expect this to be a very solid quarter from that standpoint. So if they got another 6, that puts them at 20, which is the same level as what they did in the third quarter. Probably not going to happen. I got them doing 7 billion in the fourth quarter to put them to 21, because I believe they're at 14 right now. I mean, Sneed, write it down. 21 billion. They have set themselves up by raising cash flow, under promise, over deliver. 21 billion. Write it down. What's the day? Today is November the 3rd, 2023. B said 21 billion free cash flow for the year. Industry leading.
Damn.
Yeah, I agree. Spend, baby, spend.
Damn.
I think that Skiadas, I think that his marching orders from Hans, very, very simple. Put us in a position to continue to increase cash flow. Put us in a position to continue to increase EBITDA. Put us in a position to continue to increase service revenues and pay down the debt. I think they paid off $4 billion in the third quarter. Put them in a position to pay down debt, while also continuing to build out 5G. Because we know, and I predicted this as well, this is kind of me pivoting to my second prediction, we'll see churn by the end of 2024 for Verizon be back in the .7. Probably in the fourth quarter of 2024, back in the .7 range. You build it, they will come, and they will stay.
Yep, I agree.
You guys agree or disagree with anything B had to say?
I agree. I mean, I think the churn is, the churn to me has always been relative to a network expansion. You build it, you deliver, good, hopefully a good price, and the customer will stay. So.
Yeah, I think Verizon's already addressed pricing. AT&T has as well. All three carriers are within $20 of each other. So we're not talking about anybody who's, oh my God, they're just so much more expensive. That's a false narrative. If you look at the new pricing, there may be people in legacy pricing where that's their choice. But as far as the new pricing right now that's available, we're talking about a $20 difference between the carriers. So pricing has already been addressed. At this point, it's about the network. It's about the network. Once C-band is out there, we'll see churn go down in the .7 range. 2025, I'm predicting the .6 range. That's really what it's about. Because as soon as they finish, they've already got it started. But C-band deployment, everything like that, they've already said public knowledge. They're going to be coming back in with the mmWave expansion in 2024, the small cell build. I mean, churn will go down.
Can I chime in, B?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
You're wrong about everything.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
I don't think you're that far off. I think you're just a little bit ambitious.
Okay.
I think that churn number is ambitious. As long as they have deals with cable, they'll never be in the .6s. And as long as cable takes their share at the rate they've been taking, they probably won't get in the .7s either.
Well, the rate is already decreased, Steve. They've already got lower numbers of people.
That's my point. It's going to have to continue to decrease. If there's a disruption, if something were to occur where it would disrupt the flow, like you probably need 5 consecutive quarters of slowdown at cable in order for what you're saying to happen. 5 consecutive uninterrupted. Like, I'm not even joking. It's going to take a year and a half of uninterrupted.
Well, I mean, I did say 2025 is when it gets to the .6s. But in about the fourth
it's
quarter,
not going to get to .6s as long as they have a cable deal. There's just no way.
Okay.
Well, the cable companies are on a downward trend.
Yep.
They're losing money.
Yep.
They're like hand over fist on wireless. They're losing broadband subs to fixed wireless.
Yep.
Like crazy. Like what's that guy's name? Massa. Kind of a troll on Twitter, but he made some very valid points about the downward trends at both Comcast and Charter that are worth keeping an eye on. The free line promo ends at the end of this year.
But you gotta understand, you can't predict something that's never happened before.
But cable is spending more money on bolstering their network than they ever have right now, and it's a lot of money.
But my point is, and what you guys are saying is correct, and I agree. The sentiment, the descriptions you guys are giving, all accurate. .6, bro. What the hell?
In 2025.
Oh my, bruh. Like, oh.
Sneed,
You're predicting something. You're predicting something that is so unlikely. It's so unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's unlikely.
See, Verizon has historically been in the .7 range before 5G was ever implemented. So now you're going to have them building out C-band and
cable.
You're right. But you're right. You're right. But cable is already starting to lose momentum before C-band even gets built out.
But cable has shown the propensity to want to undercut Verizon.
You're right. But why is that working right? Did it work last quarter?
Whether it works or not doesn't matter.
Of course it matters. That's what we're talking about right now.
Because EM brought up the profitability piece, they seem to not care. Which is crazy talk, but that's what they're doing.
I'm telling you, Sneed.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and just glance over the fact. Bro, .6?
2025.
T-Mobile literally consumed another carrier and is not even sniffing .6.
Well, they don't.
They
don't have the critical product. They don't have that. No, their churn went up, which is what I also predicted. Their churn went up last quarter. And now, generally, your network, when you build it out, the people will stay. They are the only ones who have defied that logic because their network is more mature than AT&T.
I'll be honest with you, B.
And they're still having churn.
The chance of it happening was when Verizon was selling home internet for $25. Then I would have given it a chance. But at $35, having to wireless bundle and then increasing the promotional rate by $10 across the board, it's not happening. And in fact, very specifically, the fixed wireless access piece is the only reason Verizon's churn is not 1.0 today.
That's not true. The only reason their churn is not in .7 is because they didn't start building out 5G at the same time T-Mobile did.
No, their churn right now is .9.
You're
it's
right.
.9. They revamped their plans. They quote unquote gave customers what they wanted. Yeah, and they're at .9.
It's .9 because they're not finished building. When they finish building, which will be in 2024, their churn, of course, will decrease as they continue to build. Their churn will be.
Bro.
Let me say it again. Fourth quarter 2024, you'll see it return back to the .7s, and then in 2025, you'll see it start to creep down in the .6s. That's what I said. And that doesn't mean first quarter 2025. but sometime in the year 2025, you'll start to see it in the .6s. And the reason why I'm confident in that is because I still personally believe that among all three carriers, Verizon will have the best network of the three. And they'll begin to pull away as their network matures. Now, somebody tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Okay. Then we'll see.
To B's credit, Sampath did come out and say a few months ago, not even a few months ago, it was like whatever it was, that where they have C-band, their churn drastically decreased.
Why?
Because the network product is
what
better.
can they do with C-band? What can they do with C-band that's keeping customers from leaving?
Provide a better network experience. That's
Wrong.
Wrong. How many people have come up here and complained about band 13 only sites? It's their favorite thing to do. It's their favorite thing to do on the podcast. You have so many comments. You have so many people come up here and talk about band 13 only sites. Once that's no longer a problem, you have a situation now where churn begins to normalize down to where Verizon historically is, which is .7. As they continue to roll out millimeter wave, you have a situation where now you're providing an even better customer experience. I predict the .6s in 2025.
Bruh.
Now, if it doesn't happen, hey, that's fine. I have no problem being wrong. But I know for sure it's going to normalize.
The churn is .9. They're still losing customers in the consumer group.
So?
You've upgraded 230 million pops.
And as we've upgraded, those losses have decreased, Sneed.
The upgrades in the network have added a new service that gets people away from cable. The story begins and ends with cable on everything. Okay. Everything in this discussion is about cable.
So how does that disprove what you said?
How does it disprove what I said?
How does it disprove what I said? How does what you just said disprove what I said?
Everything is connected. Everything is connected to cable. If cable stays competitive in their pricing, whether they're making money or not doesn't matter. They can still continue to take share. That's going to prevent a churn from going below .8.
But they're losing momentum as we speak before C-band even fully gets matured on the Verizon network from sea to shine and sea.
And,
so if that's already starting to happen.
So hold on.
And their DOCSIS 4.0 builds are barely even started. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, here's the thing. There's DOCSIS 4.0 builds. Okay, this is a stopgap to provide the fixed wireless access. Once the DOCSIS 4.0 is nationwide, they're going to rely heavily on that and less on the FWA. And I know.
But the DOCSIS 4.0 builds aren't set to be done until end of 25 in a lot of places. What are we like?
Yeah.
At that point, they're going to lose. They're going to lose so much momentum and lose so many broadband subscribers. They're already losing subscribers hand over fist.
In addition to also seeing smaller levels of ads, like they're losing momentum in wireless as well. So I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. .7 in 2024, fourth quarter. .6s in 2025 for Verizon. Watch.
Where's dental when we need it? Where's that dental at?
This is crazy, bro. Agreed with the super chat. Thank you, man. How many pops do you realistically think T-Mobile can cover with C-band by the end of 2024?
The bare minimum to keep their licenses.
So the correct answer is 1.
1 million pops or 1 pop?
No, 1 pop.
1 pop. Okay, so everybody gets a soda on T-Mobile.
Pretty much, yep. That's how they did it with their 600 megahertz, so why not their C-band?
Everyone wants to talk shit about the band 13 only sites, but nobody wants to talk about the 5 megahertz, 7 or 600 sites that are all over rural America because they didn't want to put up N41 to save money. And those exist in a lot of places.
So, Green, I think end of 2024, I think you'll see half of the pops they have licenses for. Maybe 60% of the pops they have licenses for. Maybe because remember they mostly have C-band in larger markets like top 25 PAs. So
where's that money going to come from, please?
They got a $9 or $10 billion capex, right?
Yeah, but they got to maintain what they have. All of that's not going to go towards.
They don't have to maintain anything. They'll just wait for Ericsson to fly out and do it, or Nokia.
All right. Hey man, we'll see
But
what
they
happens.
still got to pay those contractors, though.
Right. Yeah.
Riley, I completely disagree with you. Verizon postpaid can compete with cable, and they are competing with cable because both of the major cable cos that have MVNO deals with Verizon had terrible quarters. Their Q3s were awful.
I mean, people just like to get in the comments and, no disrespect to anyone at all. I'm not trying to be funny, but they like to regurgitate what they hear from other people. And that's fine. I mean, in order to get laughs and jokes, that's cool. We all like to have fun. I understand. I respect it. But, guys, I mean, the tables are turning. The tide is turning as we speak. AT&T is ramping up momentum. Verizon is definitely ramping up momentum. I'm telling you, T-Mobile, they have the most pops covered for their 5G network out of all three carriers, yet their churn increased. Why? Because they got the crappiest network of the three, which is what I've been touting from day one. Even with their N41 built out almost, they got 300 million pops is what they announced. Yet their churn increased. It was only not what?
It's not. Their churn rate's not connected to their pops covered, though. We're missing the point, man.
Okay, so
AT&T has the lowest churn. Hold on, man. AT&T has the lowest churn, and they don't have any of these pops. And I've been trying to tell you guys this shit, but you don't freaking hear me.
I've already explained to you why that is, though, Sneed. They've got
it doesn't matter. What does the reason matter when the fact is that they have 190 million pops, and their churn is the lowest, and you're telling me it's the network? No, sir, it is not.
So what is it, Steve? So what is it then?
I said the Verizon situation is 100% tied to cable. Their customers that leave them are staying on the network, going to frickin' cable.
Okay, so why does AT&T have the lowest churn then? If it's not the phone upgrades in the new lines, everybody getting the same promo, then why is it?
Because it is. No, man, you're missing my point.
Yeah, what he's saying is the reason why AT&T has the lowest churn is because those Verizon customers are actually going to Charter and Comcast for mobile service. That's why.
I understand that point. What I'm saying is the amount of people who are leaving for those two carriers for big cable has decreased, and it's begun to decrease already. Before C-band at Verizon has even been fully deployed. Before mmWave continues to be deployed across the country in all of the major markets.
Right, you're saying it's only a temporary. Okay, that's pretty much the argument that you're making. It's only temporary until the network is built. But here's the thing. There's going to be, as the telecom industry goes, there is always, and I think we could all agree on this, there's always what we call a bottoming out effect. And so when you have a bottoming out effect, right, you really have to look at a couple things. You need to look at who has the best network strategy and who came out on top as far as financials go, right? So, in my opinion, though, I agree with both of you. The reason why AT&T's churn is lower is due to everybody going to cable at Verizon for the MVNOs. But as soon as the network is built out, okay, in 2025, 2026, and keep in mind, T-Mobile still has to build theirs out as well. A good chunk of it by 2026, according to their network strategy. I see that Verizon and T-Mobile will probably have some pretty stinking low churn. The role could be reversed.
Well, I don't understand is how you could agree with this. So here's my point.
AT&T could have some high churn.
Hear me out. High churn. Hear me out, Zero Cool. You follow my process with me, right?
Yep.
Verizon is at 230 million pops covered a 5G ultra wideband. Every month, the number of pops goes up. Nobody has upgraded a network as fast as Verizon in this shorter time. Nobody. The only carrier that built mid-band faster than this was Verizon when they did it with AWS. That is it. So hear me out. They're building this network so fast, yet they are losing share every quarter.
those
Yeah,
And
numbers
you're
have been
telling me,
no,
and
hold
you're
on,
telling me the
because it's
network
price.
is going to
Price.
bring all these customers back as they
It,
upgrade them.
it is price now. People are hurting right now economically. That's why they're going to MVNOs. That's why they're going to T-Mobile. That is another reason why Verizon's churn is higher than AT&T's. Okay, then higher than T-Mobile's due to price right now because this economy sucks. All right, but once the economy stabilizes, okay, once the economy gets better, maybe under new leadership, you're going to start to see, okay, along with the network, Verizon's churn be really, really, really good. And also T-Mobile is unfortunately really, really good. We're going to see AT&T probably have the reverse effect, but for right now, customers are voting with their wallets. All right, that's just, but again, it's only temporary until this economy gets back on track.
Big shout out to Green. I don't really know much about the M3 Apple laptops, man. I wish I could offer some perspective on it. I don't.
I know a little bit. So basically, anybody that has, okay, this is just for everybody. Everybody has an M1 Apple chip. Do not get an M2. There's not really any speed, any technological difference that you're going to notice. Okay, graphically, CPU wise, it's a waste of money. Wait till the M3. That's it. Simple.
So, Reader John, AT&T has the lowest churn because they give their customers a great deal on promotional pricing for devices. Their customers are used to it. Their customers know it. They depend on it. And new customers that want a new phone to be free on a trade-in go to AT&T for that. That's what AT&T does. Yeah, exactly. That's AT&T's approach. But AT&T also on a state level does have the best network in like 2/3 of the states in the US.
Let me ask you guys something. Do you guys think hold on. Let me ask you guys something. Do you think if T-Mobile's churn rate starts to bubble up and get higher, do you guys think they'll lower their wireless pricing? Thoughts?
No.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
But I'll tell you, I think AT&T's network is good enough, and their phone promotions are good enough to follow the same trend I just suggested for Verizon. They're already at .7 or in the .7s as they continue to roll out their C-band and their DLD. They will be in the .6s as well. The only one who will hover above that will be T-Mobile, because again, they have the worst network of the three, and their churn went up this quarter, and they got 300 million pops, and we're talking about .87 versus Verizon's .9. So we're not talking about huge differences between the quote unquote 5G GOAT and the one that has Band 13 only sites. So I wholeheartedly believe what I'm saying is going to happen. The information is right there. The data is right there. The American people know that Verizon and AT&T traditionally build better networks and maintain better networks, and they will flock right back there when they finish building out their respective networks.
I can tell you guys. Yeah. Yep, I can tell you guys this. Whoever's going to buy that U.S. Cellular is going to have a fun time.
Yo, let me get Moose in here, man. The original is here.
I had to get in on this because you already know what I'm about to say.
Unleash, Moose.
.9 versus .7 in the great scheme of things doesn't seem like a big difference.
It's massive.
But it is massive when you think about how many subscribers Verizon has, their base. It's significantly higher than T-Mobile's and AT&T's, right?
140 million, Moose.
Right. So what's 0.09% of 140 million?
What is that, like 1.4
It's
million?
over 1 million customers churning.
Yeah.
It's over 1 million per quarter.
Yep.
Where are they going? Majority of them are going to cable.
900,000 at a time. 900,000 at a time.
Some are going to T-Mobile, some are going to AT&T, but the majority are going to be wholesale customers with Comcast and Spectrum Mobile, right? Xfinity Mobile. So The day that Verizon starts losing revenue is the day that my predictions have come true. I've told this to Sneed already.
Yeah, you predicted that. I disagree with you,
Yeah.
but you did predict it. You said their revenues were going to decrease.
They are going to have
And you said
to.
it was going to be connected to their churn rate.
Right, because the analysis that I've done does not lie, right? CLE lost 0.04 in 1 month, last month, September. That's a huge amount of market share.
0.4?
0.04. 0.04, yeah, percent.
What?
So 0.04% is a big amount of people when you consider that CLE, right? Number one market share is Verizon, right?
0.04?
0.04 is a significant amount.
So what's not significant? If 0.04 is significant, what would you say is not significant? It's in the CLE. If they were to lose 0.01, would you say that's significant?
0.01 is not significant. That's BAU. People, people divorcing and all that.
Okay, so they just need to get 3 hundredths of a percent better, and then they'll not be in the red.
Yeah, but here's the difference, though. At the current trajectory that the company is going, I don't foresee that churn improving, and I'll tell you why. Consistently for the past 24 months, they have been in a decline, and
Why?
it's accelerating, and it's honestly because of price. It's nobody cares about the network right now.
But the carriers are within $20 of each other. So do you mean the price on the phones, or talking about the monthly service?
No,
because
it's the fact that in order for you to get the same deal as AT&T or T-Mobile in some cases, you have to be at the best possible plan, which is the most expensive.
Yeah, but T-Mobile's built like that too, Moose. And
no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Like we saw. Yeah, go ahead, Moose. Go ahead.
Right, I'm saying that's why I said in some circumstances T-Mobile is the same way, but also they do offer slightly better deals. Like for example, the $100 for 4 lines,
and their churn spiked, Moose.
Right.
But
what I'm saying is this, guys. The facts do not lie. The analysis and the data analytics on this are very clear. In order for Verizon to stop their churn decline, right? Like consistently churning customers on the consumer side, they have to attack the price issue.
No, they already have done that. Again, the carriers are within $20 of each other. The pricing has already been addressed. At this point, like people can say what they want to say and try to minimize network experience, but how many people get on Sneed's comments every podcast, every single piece of content that he almost all of it related to Verizon, they talk about Band 13 only sites. Nobody's going to sit here and tell me that nobody cares about the network. That is a lie. It's just not true. Band 13 only sites that people continue to talk about once they've been upgraded, as mmWave continues to roll out there, you still got cbrs that needs to be reformed over to 5G. As those things continue to happen, the network improves. I'm telling you, churn is going to normalize.
Yeah, but in the major metropolitan areas, I never really saw a decline in the Verizon network to begin with. They always were able to keep pace where 85% of the U.S. pops reside. They never really had a bad network in those places.
I don't disagree,
so
and that's what's saying
that they're going to upgrade it is just really about the C-band opportunity with fixed wireless.
But that's what Sampath and Hans have already spoken to. The places where C-band is deployed, churn is much better. But the rural customers, which is where Verizon is dominated, they're the ones that are churning. And guess where they're going? Like you guys said, to big cable, because they don't have gigabit speed.
No.
Networks out there anyway.
No, B. The people that are churning in rural America are not going to big cable. They're going to T-Mobile.
Okay, regardless of where they're going. For my particular point, that's irrelevant. All we know is that they're leaving.
How is it not relevant, B?
Where they're going, for what I'm saying, it's not relevant where they're going. It just means that they're turning. No, I'm not. The reason why they're going is because of the network. So regardless of where they're going, we know that they're leaving.
They're leaving. So rural America, they're leaving because of the network. But in urban America, they're leaving for the cable provider.
So for price.
But the cable provider's momentum is starting to slow. And a lot of that is because you have the C-band, you have the mmWave, you you have that
But B,
experience in those areas.
they would have to slow to a pace like, you know how Comcast is adding like 290 right now? They would basically have to get down to almost nothing. It'd have to get down to like 50.
I don't think that's true.
And then Spectrum would have to go from like 600-700 down to like 150.
I don't think that big cable is only eating the lunch money of Verizon though.
Yeah,
because like I said, T-Mobile's churn went up too. Where are those customers going? Like, guys, I understand it's popular to pick on Verizon right now. I get it. I acknowledge it 100%, especially when it comes to churn. But what I'm saying is, churn is increased at T-Mobile, although they have the most mature 5G mid-band network right now from a deployment standpoint. They're the only ones whose churn went up with that fully deployed network. What I'm saying is the opposite is going to happen with Verizon. It's going to go down. It's going to normalize as they roll out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's pretty naive to think that Verizon is the only carrier that's impacted by cable.
No, I can do the math. It's like 50,000.
I'm not talking about you. It is very naive to say that AT&T is not impacted by cable pricing, and same with T-Mobile. You guys sit up here and you bash Verizon because of the cable companies. Like, dude, the competitive pricing impacts everyone. AT&T has low churn because they lock their customers in for 3 years, and when I can guarantee you, the port ratios don't lie. They're leaving AT&T to go to cable. Like, it's just not as drastic as Verizon.
Well,
because of their discounts.
So Verizon lost 50,000 subs on the consumer business, right? Those 50,000, I mean, some of them went to T-Mobile and AT&T, but still, a majority of them went to cable. Verizon's not too worried about that. But they didn't lose a lot of customers, right? The people that left Verizon for big cable already did it. Like now, if it's 50,000, like that's not a lot. So like what's really happening right now is T-Mobile loses some now because, you know, the T-Mobile situation is very different. They no longer give the deals to the cheaper plans. Those are price sensitive customers. Where do price sensitive customers go? Big cable. Like
so why did big cable lose momentum? So why did they lose momentum and growth?
But here's they are going to lose momentum, but you have them losing it rapidly in a pace that I think is unrealistic.
Because here's why, Sneed. Because
2025 is a year and a half away.
Hey, as their DOCSIS 4.0 build matures and they have to keep spending more money, they're not going to want to subsidize their wireless as much as they are right now. That's why
we already got the numbers, EM. We already know what they're going to do. The price is going up $20.
That might
we already
increase.
know.
Exactly.
This is not speculative. They're going to go up by $20.
Yep.
And it's still going to be cheaper than a Verizon line with fixed wireless access.
Yeah, so
if the
DOCSIS bill gets off the ground, their wireless prices will increase to pay for it. Absolutely.
And like I said, I've already talked to you guys about that delta between MVNO and prepaid pricing and postpaid.
Why are you guys worried about big cable having to spend money? It's the cost of doing business. It doesn't mean they're not going to compete anymore. They have already said they're going to raise pricing by $20. That is 100% connected to the fact that they have to upgrade their network. I'm with you, EM. They have to spend more, but it's the cost of doing business, and they're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I mean, you're right. It's the exact same thing that T-Mobile is doing. They're raising prices to build their network. Same thing.
It's not going to cost
them that much. That in turn is going to slow growth, regardless.
Yep.
Regardless of how much it costs. Regardless of
give me a number. Give me a number. Give me something.
I already gave you a number.
No. I'm asking EM. I know your number, B, but I'm asking EM. What type of growth are we talking about? Right now, they add about 900,000 collectively at big cable. What do you think that's going to be like in the future?
It's hard to say. It really depends on BEAD funding and how much subsidy continues to flow to these cable companies as they build out their networks. and quite frankly, how costly how costly their DOCSIS 4.0 build gets, because
Bro, but
in
this is
the
not
legacy
connected
cable
to the
plan, it's going
network,
to
though.
continue to get more expensive, and they're going to continue to raise prices.
They don't have that much cost to upgrade from DOCSIS, their current DOCSIS, to the new DOCSIS, guys. We're overblowing the situation. It's not like they're already on copper and they're going to fiber, and that's an expensive build out. They already have the coaxial in the ground. What they need to change out are few items, right? The customers' CPE, right? Their modems / routers. They're gonna have to upgrade those, right? And they're gonna be getting them at a ridiculous price point, probably around $150 wholesale rate. And then they're gonna have to also upgrade their central offices, right?
And they're going to have to do node splits and cut out amps and taps and replace cable. There's a lot more than just the head end and the end user. It's not like fiber.
Right. But again, the biggest cost to the fiber deployment is the legitimate construction of the fiber, right, to the nodes, right, the PFPs, and then to eventually to the house if they're doing a fiber to the premises. But that's already there. So compared to fiber being upgraded and all that, it's significantly cheaper. But they're going to be doing it strategically, because what they've noticed, right, with Frontier and with AT&T is that not everybody really cares for above 1 gig. Some people do. 2 gig is relevant, but 5, 10 is not as relevant, right now. It will be in the future, potentially, but right now, the majority of customers are looking at 2 gig.
Well, I think that's has more to do with the cost barrier, because the price exponentially jumps after 2 gig, regardless of the provider. I'm sure if it was cheaper, customers would buy it just for shits and giggles. We all know customers buy things they don't need. But there's a significant cost barrier when you go from 2 gig to 5 gig or even 8 gig from some of these providers. So
Verizon, dot 7, 2024. Dot 6, 2025. Fourth quarter, 2023. End of the year, $21 billion free cash flow. Those are my predictions.
I'm not that optimistic, but
Shout out to Septian. Thank you for the super chat. He said, "You got me going in circles."
I think as long as cable exists, .6 is very unobtainable.
At least he's not saying this to T-Mobile.
I don't know, man. I think it can happen. I'm not saying .6 won't.
Bro, you gotta. Hans is culpable. He signed those deals with cable. That's Hans is culpable for some of this churn.
I'm not. Listen, he had to do it. If they, he had no choice. Big Cable's gonna sign with somebody. So
I understand and I agree with you, but I'm not gonna expect .6 at any point, let alone 2025, which is a year, 5 quarters away.
I mean, I didn't say the first quarter of 2025.
I don't care if you said the fourth quarter of 2025. I don't care.
It's okay. It's okay if you guys disagree. I am used to standing.
Damn.
He's
on that band 13.
He's on that Verizon network.
Yeah.
I've been right a lot. So I mean,
it's cool, man. Hey,
if I'm wrong,
you're gonna be wrong on this, bro.
Okay, so you can disagree on .6. That's fine. .7, it will normalize to .7 in 2024. Free cash
that's
flow
more realistic.
in the year 2022. But that's what I said, though, Sneed. I said that, and I also said for the full year. But that's what I said. I said that, and okay. So let me try again. Let me make sure everybody understands all my points. Point number 1. .7 is where Verizon's churn will normalize to in 2024. Probably in the late fourth quarter 2024. Probably right around there. That's point number 1. Point number 2. In 2023, total free cash flow, $21 billion. That's point number 2. Point number 3. 2025. Sometime in 2025. for the churn for the company. Now, you don't have to agree with all three. You don't got to agree with none of them if you don't want to. That's fine. I will die on the hill by myself. I'm okay with that.
You know what's the most likely out of all of this, of your three predictions?
The free cash flow.
The free cash flow.
Because, I mean, it's just simple math. If they're at almost $15 billion right now before the fourth quarter starts and they up their guidance to $18 billion, they're not going to fall off a cliff and all of a sudden in the fourth quarter only do $3 billion. They did 6 in the third quarter. I got them doing 7. Do the math. $21 billion.
Austin's Tech came in with the super chat. Brian got the band 13 treatment briefly. That's funny.
Hey, man, sometimes, things happen, man. People be messing with me, man, because they know I'm telling the truth out here.
I think US Cellular is going to have the best churn numbers by the end of 2025. That's my prediction.
Who gives a rip about that company, man? That company's gonna be bought out. That company's toast. The toast.
Okay, I want to get your opinion, Zero Cool, since you kind of live in the general vicinity. Who do you think would be best suited to buy them? Who would benefit the most from their network assets?
I'll take T-Mobile or AT&T. It doesn't matter. I'll take either or. I just want them to be gone because they suck.
Interesting.
I don't think anybody's buying them anytime soon just because money's kind of tight right now. I think both AT&T and Verizon are going to really focus on reducing debt right now. So I don't think anybody's buying anybody just right now. I know there's been rumors about Verizon possibly buying ESPN. I just don't think it's in the cards right now. They already have an ESPN type of partnership, I think, if I'm not mistaken, with Disney and everything. So those customers already have access to ESPN Plus. So they've already got the partnership to be able to get content. Why do they need to buy them? It doesn't even really make sense. It's just bankers, analysts doing what analysts do. But it doesn't really add a lot of value right now, especially not for $24 billion. And that's just to be a minority stakeholder, not even a full, because Disney's not trying to sell the entire company. They're still going to own 51% of ESPN. They're looking for a minority stakeholder. I think 31% is what's up for sale, and that's valued at $24 billion. Come on now. They've already got access to ESPN content through ESPN Plus. They already have access to NFL directly through NFL Plus, and then they got the YouTube partnership. Why do they need ESPN for? What, for baseball? For basketball? Why? For $24 billion when they already owe $147 billion? Why? Why right now? They're not going to do that right now. It doesn't make sense. If maybe I'm wrong. I understand it's going to be a billion people that disagree because it's fun to disagree with me. But I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense.
I think
B, it's like the whole world against you, bro. You really believe that?
That's how I feel, man. You know that
just because I didn't agree with you this one time, now it's you against the world, bro.
Man, I'm just playing around, man.
It's B versus the world, bro. That's the new segment on the show.
Bro, I keep telling people this, but nobody is really paying attention. US Cellular is not a good asset. Like, the states that they operate in are declining population centers of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good point, Moose. Yeah.
And that's why, Moose makes a great point, and that's why I don't believe anybody's knocking down their doors to buy them. Especially when we know the cash cows of the industry.
Well, hold on a second, B. Hold on a second, B.
Go ahead.
The ARPU for a US Cellular customer, worse than the industry.
I'm not surprised.
And the only way it makes sense is if you also deepen that relationship with fixed wireless. I think outside of that, what's really to like?
Honestly, man, sometimes it's proper to just let a company die as opposed to always trying to, unless you can get them for a significant discount.
Let's liquidate and then just go from there.
Exactly. Let the assets liquidate, put them up for auction, sell the spectrum. That's really what the people would be, what they will be purchased for anyway. The customers and the spectrum. And since the customers are not really that profitable, then just let the spectrum be auctioned and let the company die. Everything doesn't have to be a merger or an acquisition. Especially when we all know that mergers and acquisitions, you almost always end up overpaying because you got to pay the investor.
Yep. Yeah, I think AT&T is going to buy them. Because, T-Mobile's tied up with Mint already, so I'm just going back to my original prediction about. But I don't know. I never did like that company. Sneed knows about that. I never will.
Right.
They are the worst. Please, for the love of God, have Randall buy them.
Oh God. I don't think it's going to be them
I don't want AT&T getting that spectrum, dude. That's a monopoly right
Think
there.
But
about
that's
what
the
they
thing,
can do.
though.
Think about what they can do with it.
Okay, do they have fiber assets? Does US
Okay,
Cellular
let
have
me
any
ask you
fiber?
this, Moose. What's more valuable to AT&T, US Cellular and all that comes with it, or Frontier?
Frontier. I have a prediction that I've been talking about with Sneed.
Get in there,
That-
Moose. Get in there.
So
Talk to him,
I have
dog.
a prediction. I have a prediction, very strong prediction. Okay, and I've been talking to this about with Sneed that AT&T, once the rates are favorable, and possibly a Republican administration in 24, okay, or sorry, in 25, I believe very strongly that you're going to see an 18 to 25 billion acquisition of Frontier. That's the range.
By AT&T?
The AT&T, think about it like this. Hold up. There's a couple points I want to make. Frontier moved their headquarters to downtown Dallas. Did you guys know that?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Okay. They moved their headquarters to downtown Dallas secretively. Very, very secretively.
It was public. What? They made an article about it.
It wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, it was like a non-news day. It was on a Friday. Right? And usually announcements that on a Friday. Frontier is a very interesting situation. I'll tell you why. The fiber piece is interesting. They're the most compatible to AT&T other than Google Fiber in terms of a tech stack. And what's not interesting about them is the fact that they have too much copper. That's the issue, right? Is that you're going to have to do something with all that copper. But from a complementary standpoint, if you add on Frontier, woo, damn, you are going to easily hit 30 plus million households in the United States before 2025.
The only problem is AT&T owes like $137 billion in debt. So they're going to go over Verizon and be in the 150s now? I just don't see it happening, man. I don't see it. They're lowering CapEx. They're telling the street, they're telling their investors, like, yo, we're about to slow down spending money. Now you guys are saying they're going to spend, but now, like, Moose is saying they're going to spend $25 billion on a company that owns a bunch of copper just so that they can get some fiber. They already have gigapower. They already have access to plenty of fiber to build out themselves. Why do they need to go $25 billion further in debt in order to buy a dying company that's only going to make them owners of a bunch more copper that they're going to have to decommission?
Yo, we got a breaking news story. B, we got a breaking news story. We got to get to it. Big shout out to Sep. Salute, Sep. Thank you, man, for the super chats tonight. I hope homie isn't making a case for Verizon being the better network, breaking up on that dial-up connection he's on. Oh, shit. Big shout out to Jason D with the super chat. AT&T getting back its CT Baby Bell and the rest of Frontier's footprint. They left CT headquarters wise. I could see this happening. So he agrees with Moose on this one, I believe. Let's go ahead and make the switch to this breaking story. This one shared to me from Austin's Tech. Thank you, man. Appreciate the share. Let's go ahead and let's jump in, man.
You're not gonna let me live tonight.
T-Mobile must face private antitrust lawsuit over a $26 billion Sprint deal, according to U.S. judge. This looks like carried litigation due to the merger. A lawsuit from AT&T and Verizon subscribers who claimed the mobile communications giant deal for rival Sprint hurt competition, caused them to pay billions of dollars more for wireless service. U.S. District Judge Thomas Durkin said in a filing and a ruling that the plaintiffs plausibly argued that higher prices flowed directly from the merger. Holy moly. The judge is absolutely entertaining this, guys. Los, talk to me about this, bro.
Bro, did you continue reading? You'll see in the bottom
Oh, you want me
part.
to keep going? Okay.
Yeah, bro. Before we comment on it, you got to finish
Durkin's
it out.
ruling was not on the merits of the claims, which now will be tested as the case advances. The court's decision also trimmed the lawsuit, knocking out Japan's SoftBank, Sprint's controlling shareholder, as a defendant. Of course, all this goes back to the merger from 2020. Representatives from T-Mobile had no comment. SoftBank did not comment. Both companies have denied any wrongdoing. An attorney for the plaintiffs said they were grateful for the court's well-considered order and eager to move ahead with the case. Federal antitrust laws allow customers, small businesses, and others to pursue private challenges to mergers or acquisitions. The cases are litigated apart from government enforcement actions. A group of states are also involved. I don't know if it cites the states, or no, the states were involved. I remember that was when they were in front of Judge Victor Marrero and the Manhattan federal judge. This is going to be Anthony Dale versus Deutsche Telekom AG in the Northern District of Illinois. If plaintiffs are unhappy with Verizon and AT&T, there is a remedy available in the highly competitive market that wireless consumers enjoy today. They should switch to T-Mobile, not sue it, according to lawyers from T-Mobile.
Man, T-Mobile better stock up on deodorant. He better be stocking up on that deodorant, my Steven.
But the most important part, bro, is talking about possibly it could undo the merger. What happens if that happens?
What up, Lo?
What if it wins? What if it wins, bro, and they do that? I mean, if it's done by a federal court, it has to get done if it's ordered.
No, it would be for a settlement, and they would be paid based on the losses that the extra pricing that they've paid since the merger.
Yeah, they just gonna give them a check.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, let's go cut them a check.
They're gonna say how much have you had to pay more because of the merger, and they would have to say, well, my bill went up 10 or 15%. So then they would say, okay, well, 10 to 15% of your bill is how much? And then they'd multiply that by how many months? And then, I don't know, I guess they would have to, the plaintiffs would also have to say, well, this is how it's going to be moving forward. So I'm going to live till I'm 85, according to statistics. I'm going to need a cell phone service through then. So I'm going to need this amount of dollars.
Isn't it interesting that this happened after they increased rates on the new plans?
That's generally how it works. As soon as they stop being the quote unquote uncarrier, now all of a sudden consumers don't love them no more.
Hey, Moose. Hey, Moose. What's happening, bro? With the World Cup, bro? They're talking about LA's not going to do it. It's going to come to Vegas, bro. It's going to be at Allegiant.
that actually might be a legitimate thing, but let's comment on this one first, because I think this is a big story, bro. This is a big deal. They're going to have to pay a lot of money.
Yeah, let them pay. That's good. They got
Lowe still needs his credits, man.
I still need my credits, bro. Where the hell are they?
Yo, this is crazy, man. I thought we were done with this whole Sprint thing, but see, this is what happens, guys, when you change, man. You know, and you know, the public is very unforgiving when they feel like you played them. You know, and I think a lot of people feel played by T-Mobile. I do.
Of course, 100%.
And employees too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they broke a lot of merger promises. They have not followed through on a lot of their requirements with certain states, whether it was network commitments or job commitments or whatever, you know.
Didn't I say it, Sneed? Didn't I say it?
I mean, we're all on the same page, homie.
Yeah, man. People, I don't know. I don't know what it is about that company.
They still have that pending thing with the CPUC, don't they?
They sure do.
The 300 megabits.
That ain't happening, dog. Not happening. Not happening.
And 99% of the state, it ain't happening, Chief.
Yo, Los, how's that drive from Vegas to LA, dude? Talk to me. You getting 300 the whole way?
Hell no. I'm lucky.
What are you getting, bro?
I'm lucky if I even get a full meg.
What?
I'm dead serious, bro. I'm not even playing. Especially in Barstow, not Barstow, Baker. Once you hit Baker, bro, you're lucky if you even get a half a meg.
Are they
T-Mobile's
congested or they don't have the sites?
Bro, it
They don't have
gets
the
like
sites.
0.5. It gets 0.5 down, but then it gets like 40 up, 50 up.
So they're congested.
That too, yeah, it's horrible. But on the sites, it's really congested on Bakersfield. I know that for a fact.
What do they got to do? Is it 10 gig circuits? Is it small cells? Is it millimeter wave? Is it
everything.
densification?
Better RF.
So Bakersfield is pretty much like a it's like this it's like cow country. It's very, very flat, very
Super rural. Super rural.
super
Yo.
rural, right?
Man, that's hilarious. Cow
I'm
country.
No, I'm being dead serious.
I mean, that's what we call it out here, bro. Once you get out of Cuyahoga County, it's cow country, bro. You see
If you
cows.
drive through Bakersfield on the way to LA, and thank God that wasn't my area. My area started after that. Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. And T-Mobile, the only carrier that works out there in Bakersfield is Verizon. Okay. Yeah, T-Mobile has a lot to do, crap ton to do out in Bakersfield, but they just don't, the capex to do it. But this lawsuit deal here, serves them right. Screw them. This is where they keep on going, back and forth. Just keep on saying over and over again. If they would have spent the capex, maybe this antitrust deal wouldn't have went through. But they suck. They don't keep their promises to the state.
They prioritized share buybacks and dividends over meeting the CPUC requirements.
Exactly. It's like
they literally just got backup power on some sites in Florida.
Yeah, they're the worst carrier to actually make a deal with. And that's why I can't understand why any fiber provider, God forbid, is making any type of fiber deal with them. It's like making a deal with a Lone Star.
Real talk, bro. Real talk. T-Mobile's come a long way, but they've had so much to overcome. It was never going to happen in California to hit that speed. No way.
Yeah, but
nobody can do that.
They shouldn't have promised it, Sneed. It's pretty simple. They shouldn't have promised
they
literally.
Yes, you're right.
This is where
they never would have got the deal to go through in Cali. California's like its own freaking country, dude.
It's like a guy saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna cheat on you anymore. I promise. I'll make promises." Blah blah blah. This is exactly what that is, and now they're just paying the piper for it with this lawsuit.
So be it.
Yep.
Karma's a bitch.
I hope Seaver's got more deodorant sticks than lawyers because he's gonna need it.
So I wanted to bring up a story because it's related to this speed situation. And I know, Tyrone is probably going to do a video on this relatively shortly because he's uncovered some more stuff. So today was the parade of the Texas Rangers, right here in AT&T Stadium area, Globe Life Field, right in Arlington. And I think they're going to come out with the actual how many people showed up. Both in car, helicopter, people that flew in, people that drove, etc. Right? I think it's going to be close to, let's say, 600,000 people at the low end to almost 1 million on the high end, right? Throughout the entire day, and it's still going on right now too. This could be AT&T Stadium could be the site of the 26 World Cup final, right? As well as obviously a couple games, maybe 4-6 games, between 4 and 6 games. So what's interesting, right, is that Verizon's field team was on site doing speed tests, right? Obviously, because as you all know, Verizon is the third market share wise in Dallas, right? Number 1 is AT&T and number 2 is T-Mobile. And, they were doing speed testing. And of course, right, they were, buying millimeter wave nodes in that area. Verizon has built it out. Verizon's millimeter wave was going to be dominating with pretty much nobody there, right, in terms of the amount of people in the market share, right? But what's interesting is this is a perfect example of what will potentially happen for the World Cup final, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds, tens of thousands of people camping out, wanting to watch the game in a mass capacity type crowd environment, right? And they're not going to be able to get a ticket to go into the stadium, but they will be camping out and they will be flooding the streets, right? So Bottom line is this. There's still a lot to do. A lot more capacity needs to be added by everybody, right? I think that going back to what Los's comment, with SoFi potentially not being in the mix as a stadium, it's going to be really impactful, bro. Because, the carriers already have the plan based off of what FIFA already set, right? The 11 stadiums, the 11 cities, they're treating it like literally a Super
And then they
Bowl.
gave them the expected like visitor numbers,
Right.
and like yeah,
and the training facilities. So they
Sure.
have the training facilities for all the teams that are going to be there. They're going to be in universities, soccer stadiums. They're going to be in the smaller stadiums to practice, right? Obviously, there's going to be team events. So that's why, FIFA already pre-planned this out way in advance, right? Because the carriers need to have cell on wheels or put a small cell or put a macro, right? Something, right? But anyways, it's a big deal when your network is overloaded, right? And Las Vegas is going to need a massive rehaul, like just more capacity, more systems if it is going to pivot from LA to Las Vegas.
Yeah, let me put this in perspective for you guys from a network RF perspective. Picture the Super Bowl and you times that by 10. That is the capacity that you're going to need for the World Cup. You think about all of Europe, okay, is going to come over here to the US to watch this crap. All right. It's going to be the most massive thing ever. It's going to be insane. I cannot wait for this to happen because, wherever it's going to be, I'm definitely going to go to it and test the networks and see, because we're not just going to have one carrier tank. It could be two. It could be all three if they don't get this right.
I mean, if it does make its way to Vegas, there's only one carrier who's actually got a build that could handle that type of foot traffic, and it's Verizon.
Oh yeah, bro, it's gonna be
Right.
T-Mobile, bro. That's it.
It's gonna be T-Mobile. Oh God.
But you didn't see all of my tweets when I was in Vegas?
Look, all I saw was like gigabit speed from T-Mobile. That's all I saw.
Oh my God.
By the way, I did do a speed test with T-Mobile when I was close enough to, I drove down relatively as close as I could get right before there was just a straight up traffic jam and the roads were closed. Bro, T-Mobile literally non-existent. Couldn't even do a speed test because it was so overloaded. N41 was completely done. So that's why T-Mobile.
But what about what Neville said, though?
Go ahead.
What about what Neville said about N41 and such?
They need offload. They need small cells, man. They need C-RAN.
They need small cells up the yin yang. If they don't do this, guys.
Yo, you guys remember the sign I made for Neville, the small cell sign?
Yeah.
Did I bring that thing back?
You need to, yes.
Yes.
Yep. If they don't do this it's going to be interesting to see what actually T-Mobile does with the World Cup. If they don't outfit the whole entire city, well, I would take that back. Do the whole county. If I was doing this, I wouldn't just do the city. I would plan for the whole entire county, to be honest. This is how big of a deal it's going to be.
They're building new hotels, guys, just for the World Cup. That's how serious.
Yep, that's how serious this is. Exactly.
Yeah, because they don't have enough capacity for the hundreds of thousands of people that are coming in from
every which way. They're all over
Germany.
the city.
Germany is not an expensive flight from Munich, Frankfurt, Berlin to New York City, LA. It's not an expensive flight, so be prepared. There's gonna be a lot of euros, but also from South America, dude. The Brazilians are crazy. The Argentinians just won. You don't think that they're gonna be coming in mass? Like we're talking about. Like I've been telling Sneed. I talked to Los about this. Zero Cool, you mentioned it on last time. I'm predicting between 3 to 5 million between 6-month time period, 3 months before the World Cup, 3 months after the World Cup, because people are going to want to go to Disneyland. They're going to want to go to Disney World, basically make it a lifetime trip to United States type of thing, right? They did it in Qatar and they did it over there in, the other World Cup times, right? 3 to 5 million new people on the network. And the networks, I'm telling you, are not ready for this. If they weren't even ready, listen to me. If they weren't even ready for a damn parade, okay, when there wasn't even that many people, realistically speaking, okay? How are they going to be prepared for when things get really serious, okay?
It's going to be tough. Fiber circuits, CRAN, cows, millimeter wave.
Yep.
You know,
10 gig minimum backhaul.
The traditional macro on 1 gig circuits just won't get it done, man. They're going to get chewed up and spit out. And, you know, a lot of folks are going to be roaming on T-Mobile.
I thought millimeter wave was worthless.
Man, B, why you always do this, man? You know damn well that this is, you know damn well that this panel ain't feeling that, all right?
Man, it's the same spirit or mentality as the whole 5G GO thing with T-Mobile, man. I'm just, you know, throwing it out.
You trolling, bro. You trolling back, I should say.
Come on, man. You know me, Steve. I understand. I know you on board, man. I know you on board. But we got people listening, and there are a lot of people who back in the day were saying millimeter wave was worthless.
Bro, you know who says millimeter wave sucks? The people that don't use it.
Yeah, that's true.
People don't
have access to it. That's really the only people who say that. If they had access to it, I think they could appreciate what it can actually do for a network. And I also think typically the folks who shoot it down, you know, it's just the simple fact that they haven't really seen it. It's I think in my estimation, it's overachieved. I think it's worked wonders. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, yeah, it's a difficult build, but I mean, it's a cheat code to capacity. There's no version of networking that's better than millimeter wave. I mean, I'm not saying it's replacing midband, but I'm saying that it's a network solution that's imperative in high leverage situations.
It is vital.
Like, it's so like, bruh, like Moose, you remember that? What was it called? Ultra in Miami?
Oh yeah.
How do you network for Ultra without millimeter wave?
Right. Because T-Mobile, for whatever reason, doesn't realize that event is going to be there for the next 10 years. Right? It's like clockwork, right?
How do I network Sundays for NFL?
Right.
How do I network, you know, how do I network like the best form of fixed wireless access?
In these high capacity areas, you know, T-Mobile is really going to get screwed over because they weren't.
If you had to serve an MDU, you would do it with midband if you had a choice?
No, of course not. If it's close enough, you do millimeter wave.
Like people sit there and they say it's limited in the application. How is that limited? Every stadium, every arena, every MDU, every set of condos, like they all should have a node like blasting at them.
I'm telling you this now, guys. If T-Mobile doesn't do it, don't be surprised that the network's going to fail on T-Mobile.
What up, Los?
Hey, when you were here, bro, were you impressed with the millimeter wave build so far?
I mean, how can you not be? It was pretty good.
Apartment complexes, freaking neighborhoods.
I honestly wish AT&T would have co-located on more small cells, though. I don't think they did enough in Vegas.
But
nobody embraces the grind like Verizon does, man. Like, I don't know, man. I guess everybody jokes me, you know, for being a Verizon guy, but who embraces the grind like they do? Who was the first one to tout, you know, millimeter wave and its importance? I mean, I don't. It's getting harder and harder for people to disagree, man. It really, really is. At least now, without sounding crazy.
In those high leverage situations, you just midband can't do it alone.
But that's the new frontier. Like, I mean, you know, macros and stuff are cool. Everybody's gonna have a midband deployment in the next year. AT&T, they got plenty of money. They're gonna build fast. They got smart people. They're a great company. They know what they're doing. The new frontier is the small cell in the in-building and the venue solution. That's where the fight's going to go. And it's going to be the company that's got not just the know-how and the technical prowess on how to build, but who has the spectrum, who's got the assets to be able to deploy and to be able to serve the customer the best. And there's no spectrum that's available that's better than millimeter wave at doing that.
You know what's crazy, B? So this is the numbers game, right? Big cities have all the pops. And then the opponents to millimeter wave say it doesn't help many people. Bro, big cities have tens of millions of people like visiting and living there. How the hell is that not helping a lot of people? They say, oh, it doesn't reach many people. Are you serious? New York has 10 million people. LA has 8 million people. Chicago has 6 million people.
17 New York City, bro. Big time.
Yeah,
Are you counting like all the boroughs in the surrounding areas?
All the boroughs. Remember, it's the three. They call it the tri. The tri.
Okay, so fine.
Yeah.
Count the whole metro area.
Yeah, exactly. So Connecticut,
that's my
New Jersey.
Point. But that's my point. I got all these people who have access to millimeter wave, but they say nobody uses it. What the hell?
Here's the thing, guys. The network carriers. Here's the thing. The network carriers, all three, have to have now.
Shut up, Sneed.
They have to have a small cell strategy now. If they do not, okay, this is simple RF. They do not. In 2026, when the World Cup comes, they will burn. Like Los's picture that he has up right now. Okay? And the World Cup will be played in 11 stadiums. Okay? It's gonna happen. If you don't have a small cell strategy, you're done. You'll be toast. You'll be the laughing stock of why you couldn't, keep up with the capacity or have any capacity at a World Cup game. This is exactly what's going to happen. Mark my words. It's going to happen, and I cannot wait to see this blow up.
Oh yeah. And one thing to add from Zero Cool's comment, it's not just the seating capacity of the stadium. We're talking about a 2 to 4 mile radius around the stadium. Like that whole area needs to be completely covered with millimeter wave because we already know that there's going to be people camping out the fanatics, guys. You guys don't understand because the only fanatics in the United States are Dallas Cowboy fans, straight up. They're the fanatics. That is not even close, but they're the closest to a soccer fan. Okay, there's literally a video that this guy, my friend from Argentina, he posted of this little kid, 6, 7 years old, that he was screaming at this reporter because of Boca Juniors, which is a local Argentinian club, right? You think that little kid is not going to do the same thing for his country? Bro, we're talking about a totally different type of person that's going to be coming for that game. They'll spend their entire life fortune to see Messi or whoever it is going to be, or Neymar, or, the next generation, Holland, right? From Sweden, from Norway, right? These are the fanatics that are going to come in here, and they're going to come in hot. They're going to expect things. If they don't get it, like, for example, I just came back from Cabo last week. There was a hurricane. Did I expect good cell service? Absolutely not, because I already saw en route to the hotel, right, all-inclusive, whatever, that the fiber was already down because of the hurricane. But U.S. is a totally different story, right? If you guys think of the city on the hill, that metaphor that they keep saying, right? That means that we are the best in everything, better even than South Korea potentially, right? In terms of just overall capacity, in terms of square miles, right? If we don't get this thing right, people are going to have a very different perception of what US is, because they're not going to be able to upload their videos on TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera.
Breaking news, Moose. Breaking story. Elon Musk is starting to sell off old Twitter handles valued at $50,000 a piece.
Well, I guess my Twitter handle, Grippy's Nuts, are going to be sold.
I'm excited.
Which Twitter handle you want?
I don't know what's available. I don't know what's available.
Yo, 50 stacks, bro. For old Twitter handles.
I have no idea what's available, but I'm definitely interested. Bro, that's a lot of money, man. 50K.
That is a lot of dough. Yo.
And by the way, guys, we're not that far away from 2026.
I know. That's I'm saying this now.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
It's only about.
Louis, I got to ask you something.
Yeah.
There was a prediction made on this panel not too long ago.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
That Verizon was going to hit 21 billion in free cash flow by the end of this year. What percentage likelihood is that going to happen?
Woo, aren't they at 15 right now?
Yes.
How many per quarter do they do?
Wait, how much?
Around like 6.
How much did they get this? What are they at?
I think
For
they
the
do
first
about
3 quarters?
6, right?
6?
6 per quarter?
And they're at 15 or 16 right now.
I thought they were at
Their
15.
projection for the end of the year was 20.
Yeah, but
Oh, they projected 20?
the only
They
thing that will
projected
stop
18.
them.
Or was it, I don't know. I thought B had said 20, but
Okay, so they got it up to 20?
The only thing that will stop them is honestly promotions, right? If they go heavy with the promotions, that reduces the free cash flow. But other than that, yeah, they can easily get to 20.
See, I thought that was possible too. Yeah, okay. Well,
That's the thing. Their capex has to line up what they're spending that they're going to be doing with the World Cup. If it doesn't in 2025, what are we doing? Like, we might as well just go to Canada because they're going to be hosting too. We might just go to Canada and watch the games.
Yeah. And by the way, we do have fanatic USA fans. You know, they flew out to see the games over there in Qatar, you know. So don't be surprised, guys. I'm telling you, like, there's heavy interest.
I believe you. I'm just not a soccer fan, so I don't understand the gravity of the situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, like that's why I said the only comparison is the damn Dallas Cowboy fanatic fans, bro. That they've been waiting 40 years or whatever for another Super Bowl. I'm telling you, if they ever win another Super Bowl in our lifetime, there's going to be 1 million people at AT&T Stadium area, and it's going to completely knock down.
oh, they're never going to win. They're worse than the Browns when it comes to that shit. The difference between the Browns and the Cowboys is the Browns know that they ain't going to win. The Cowboys actually think they're going to win. Yo. Oh, man.
Well,
I feel it's the delusion. You know what I'm saying, Ian?
Oh, well, no one's more delusional than Raiders fans, but
Raiders fans are the most delusional?
I think so.
No,
maybe right now it's
Lions.
Packers. I think it's Packers fans right now, but
dude, I don't know, man. I think the most delusional are the Cowboys fans. I think the saddest fans are the Lions fans because they've had to endure so much losing. Like them and the Cleveland Browns and stuff. Like, these are teams that historically have lots of losing seasons and don't make playoff runs, and it sucks.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Oh man, that's a good place to leave the show, man. It's 2.5 hours in, bro. I'm tired, and I got work in the morning. I gotta bake that bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yo, Los, thanks for letting us know about the T-Mobile lawsuit story, and shout out to Austin for sending over the link.
Bro, Sneed.
What up, B?
21 billion, not sevens in 2024.
Nah.
Not 6 in 2025. There it is.
Nah. Go ahead, Los.
Come on, man.
So I went to a neighborhood, bro, and nobody has service, bro. That was crazy. I've actually encountered my first neighborhood where nobody has service, bro.
See, I told you Verizon ain't the 5G goat.
Hey, but guess who has small cells? They haven't turned them on yet. But who's
T-Mobile.
putting up small cells? No, Verizon.
No.
Now he know damn well no T-Mobile.
Bro, EM knows what I'm talking about. EM knows exactly the kind of the area, but it's
Oh,
deeper in.
that route that you took me on when we were there.
Yeah, that whole where small cell glory.
Yo, B, guess what I found today?
What's that, sir?
Another small cell on my route to work, bro.
Word? In the same
Another
spot we
one.
talked about before?
No, another one, bro. Totally different. This is crazy. It's every time I take a new route to work, Verizon got small cells in construction, man.
Embracing the grind. Ain't that what you say, Sneed? Ain't that what you say? Ain't that what you call it? Embracing the grind, man.
That's crazy. So they own the poles. They build the poles in a day. And they just wait for power. That's it. That's it. They're already fibered up, dude. They already laid the hay and everything. It's done. Guess where they got the fiber from?
Crown Castle.
AT&T.
What?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. What? In Cleveland?
Yeah.
Bro, Crown Castle's the backhaul for plenty of them. I'm surprised.
Yo, shout out to EM Tech with the whatever the hell is going on right here.
Oh, come on. You've never seen
gazillion fulfillion dollar.
$21 billion.
I hope it's true. They're gonna need it for the World Cup. This is what they're saying. If T-Mobile's gonna lax on CapEx, Mr. CapEx Light for the World Cup, they're gonna burn flames, and I hope they do.
Yo, is CapEx Light? Is that like Heineken Light? Because if that's the case, bro, a lot of people are about to be mad as hell.
Yeah, can you imagine what's gonna happen? And here's the thing, guys. Most of the people at this World Cup are going to have T-Mobile. These aren't really Verizon. They're going to have T-Mobile. Okay.
No, I don't believe that.
Verizon. We all know that Verizon can have no traffic on their network.
No, a lot of people that love the World Cup, like soccer, like that, are T-Mobile customers for sure.
You think Verizon customers and AT&T customers don't love soccer like that too?
Not as much as T-Mobile.
I don't know, man.
Look at the demographic. Just look at the demographics. You'll see.
Yo, Moose, do you remember the last Super Bowl? T-Mobile had the least number of customers at Super Bowl, but had the most gigs used. Oh, we lost Moose. Damn it.
I remember that.
Okay, so that wasn't me making it up. That was like a story, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the most data used or if it was the most data used per customer, but it was something like that.
Damn, Reader John said CapEx Light is like old Milwaukee. Oh, damn, son.
Like Red Dog.
Oh shit.
It's like RC Cola, man.
So he said it's like Michelob. Oh damn.
No, like Milwaukee's best ice, bro. Like Pabst.
Oh god.
Like Pabst Blue Ribbon, bro.
No.
It's like Bush's, bro.
Oh
Bush
no.
I think Bush is a step above Natty Ice, bro.
Oh, for sure.
Natty Light. Oh no. Oh no.
Yo.
You remember that Natty Ice or Natty Light they did that was like pink lemonade? That's
what?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, you remember that? That's
dude,
the
that must be a North Midwest thing, don't you know? Because they ain't doing that shit here, bro.
No, it was like a limited run. Like I was like freshman in college or something.
All right, y'all. I'm about to go eat a fresh bowl of jambalaya and go to sleep. Y'all have a good night now. You hear? We out this piece.
Peace.
My guys, have a good night. Have a good night.
Right.